All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Boom Buck Blue podcast and Blue. Coming at you from a different location. I am this week. I'm in Tucson, Arizona, our old stomping grounds, where the three of us actually all met. These two homos used to live with each other.
Hell yeah.
On base.
Mates.
Yep.
Best friends since the day we met.
And some
That's a lie. We
great
hated each other for the
stories.
first 6 months.
2 months they hated each other. And to
I
be
think it was
fair,
1 or 2.
I was not a fan of Ryan either. When he first got to the office, he was very moody. He was very grumpy.
Nothing's changed. He's still moody. He's still grumpy.
Well, I mean,
We just learned to
he's
love
in a
him.
much better romantic relationship, so we're very happy for him for that, obviously.
It's true. It's
That's
very
true.
true.
That's very true.
But let's get right into it because I don't want another 3 hours, and I got a lot of notes this week. So I did want to start off right off the bat. This year, again. All right, go ahead.
I just exhale from the OU Texas game. Okay.
Yeah. I was about to say, yeah, you sent us a message after the game was over. I've aged about 25 years, and I can see it right now. I can see it.
Thanks.
But for those of you who don't know, we got our videos up, and
Okay.
we will not be posting our images on YouTube because they'll look awful. So anyway, we're much better on video.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday. Yeah. Anyway, so I did want to start off. We lost another one. So many legends gone. Joe Morgan, Hall of Fame second baseman, 2-time MVP, 10-time All-Star. I don't know how many World Series they won. He passed away today at 77. And that is a stream of baseball legends.
Since the last show, we also lost Whitey Ford. That was in between last show and
Whitey
the show.
Ford. We lost Bob Gibson. We lost Lou Brock. Just name.
2020 is just a solid year.
It's been peachy. It's been fantastic. So
pretty god awful.
But anyway, so let's get right into it. How you boys doing? Doing good?
Yeah, work's been rough last week. That's why I missed out. Duty called. So, but everything's fit. My main job at work is to fix the things that I break personally. So, got that over with and done. So everything's fixed and
you break
fixing your desktops.
That's awesome for you because then you can't bitch at anybody for breaking it. You're just like, I got nobody to blame but myself.
I mean, last Friday was, and not to get too much into work, but last Friday was rough. I literally threw my hands up in the air at 10 o'clock and just came home and said, I'm done. I already had like 50 hours in. I was like, I deserve this. I'm going home because it just wasn't working out. But anyhow, yeah,
it's all
doing good.
You're back this week. The three amigos are reunited, and it feels so good.
Yep.
It's
Anyway.
decent.
So, okay, we're getting right into it. Let's get into college football thoughts. I've got thoughts.
Okay,
But I want to hear yours first.
well, you said you're driving. All
All right, I'm going to drive. I did want to bring it off right off the top. I was watching highlights. I didn't watch every game. I was traveling on Saturday. I saw a lot of the early games. I saw OU Texas, but I didn't get to watch Clemson Miami. Clemson, as we all thought, except for Ryan, I think. Yeah, the other one, Ryan was the only one who didn't think Clemson would be able to beat them by 14, but they thumped them. So
they massacred. It was a mess.
I wanted to bring up that boy Derek King. I wish I knew the proper way to say it. He can play. He did everything he could to try and win that game, and Clemson is just damn good. Clemson is very good.
Yeah.
Again, as usual.
As usual, they look the part. I mean, we're yet to see what Ohio State is going to be.
Right.
I mean, we all kind of thought OU would be a top 4 team, and they look like trash. Not saying Ohio State's going to look like trash, but we just don't know right now. What they're
Right.
Alabama looks good, but their defense is suspect.
Yeah, that's one of my notes.
I say suspect. It's not the Bama of old. It's still very good, but it's still they get the point. Clemson's looking all around like holy shit. Like they look like they're gonna like what was it 3 years ago when they just ran through everybody and beat Bama by 30 in the championship or whatever it was. This kind of looks like that kind of Clemson team.
Yeah.
Yeah, their offensive line in particular is just so incredibly dominant. Trevor Lawrence had nothing but daytime to be able to throw to anybody he wanted to. And you know how Clemson recruits. They've got top tier.
Yeah, they got the top.
Not top tier in the ACC, top tier in the country wide receivers, and
yeah,
well,
they're going to be
all over the field. I know one player in particular makes me salty. The Brian Breezy, he's the freshman defensive end. I mean, I don't think he gets he does. How many snaps a game does he get? It's like that type of talent. If he was a 5-star and he came into Penn State, he'd be starting year one. He'd be take a while to get his feet under the ground, but
if he came to OU, he'd be like the superstar captain
of the
day
conference.
When he walks on the field.
Probably of the conference.
I think he'll get worked in more this year, but like right now, he's a garbage time guy, and like he goes in, and that type of talent that you have all over the field. The one question I have that I watch ETN, and I cannot put my finger on who he reminds me of, or like what running back in the NFL that like he is like.
I'll tell you what I mean. I feel like he's been there for 87 years.
I feel like he has too. He's just so damn good and consistent, and like he doesn't do anything. I mean, he's a spectacular player, but I watch him and he doesn't do anything that blows my mind. It's just he does everything really well, and he's tough and he's strong and he finishes runs and he's faster than hell and he can catch and he can block, and like he's just so consistent on every down. You know?
Oh yeah, he's real deal. I think he's gonna be fantastic at the next level. He's a round one pick. I mean, just looking at the dude's stats, yeah, he's not going to. Because I was wondering what the rushing touchdown record is. I mean, it's 88, so he's not going to touch it. But his freshman year, he had 13. Sophomore year, 24 touchdowns. Last year, 19 touchdowns. He's already got 4. So I mean, he's already in like the 50s range, and he's still got almost a whole year to go.
Yeah,
he's going to hit 60 plus touchdowns just receiving, which is ridiculous. Like I like him a lot.
So what does he remind you of? So 5'10", 210 pounds.
Yeah, I was looking at that as well.
And the way he moves
fast. Yeah, I was thinking because of his build, because he's not, he's 5'10", 210, so he's not small, but he's not. But you look at him, he doesn't run like a stocky back. He runs with explosiveness and speed. So in my head, initially, I thought, all right, how big was Chris Johnson? Granted, Chris Johnson was lightning fast.
Yeah.
But and Etienne is not slow, but I don't think he's going to be as fast as Chris Johnson, but that kind of style.
Well, Chris Johnson never really
I got one for you.
Yeah, shoot.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
There you go. So
all right, there you go.
You look at LaDainian and it's like, okay, breakaway speed, also finishes runs, also can hit the hole, also can cut like nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, he was an all-star. I mean, he rushed for 14,000 yards in his NFL career. I mean, the dude's spectacular.
Yeah.
Just did everything. Like, and you look at LaDainian and you're like,
yeah.
Okay, is he Barry Sanders when he cuts? Is he Chris Johnson in the open field where he can just run past everybody? He's like none of those things, but he's like a little bit of everything, Like that's what ETN is like.
Yeah.
He's that.
Yeah. One of those great at some, master of none type things.
Yeah. And just consistently comes to work every day and just he's on the field and he's he just looks like a workhorse, and Clemson has used him for the past 7 years as that workhorse. But
yeah, and he does very well at pass blocking too. A lot of these guys that are bell cows that run the ball, not like when the NFL they learn, but in college, like Adrian Peterson, when on passing downs, he would come out because he wasn't the best pass blocker in college. And DeMarco Murray didn't really pass block. We actually sent him out on routes because, he was better than half our wide receivers. But a lot of these guys on passing downs come out. But, I mean, he's in every down, and if he blocks, he blocks.
Right.
Like,
he's the bell cow, that's for sure.
Yeah, as good as
Clemson,
Saquon.
they could,
yeah,
as good as Clemson can recruit. There's a guy right behind him who's probably like a 4 or 5 star.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, like Saquon never was he was never known as being a good pass blocker at Penn State, like he had all the other tools. He was great, and he was flashy, and he was my favorite Penn State player of all time. He was something else. But he had to learn. He's got to learn how to pass block. I mean, they kind of knocked him before he got injured this year. They were talking about him. He needs to learn how to pass block and whatever. Zeke always had those tools, right? I think Zeke was a pretty stellar pass blocker, all around type of player.
I can tell you. Yeah, I can tell you. Yeah, I can tell you Zeke. Well, not thick. I mean, thicker than Saquon.
No, then ETN.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I can tell you, Zeke's one of his prides, one of the things that he was proud of doing when going into Ohio State was creating a culture of the running backs being great at pass blocking. That was his thing at Ohio State, other than, winning and, believing in his offensive line and all that other kind of stuff, that everything that running backs do. But the big thing was, hey, if you're going to be a running back at Ohio State, you will pass block. That's his, that was his bugaboo that he liked to put on.
Yeah. So anyhow, so moral of the story is Clemson's really effing good.
Clemson's good.
Clemson is very good. I got them number 1 over Alabama.
Yeah, me and Jimmy were talking about it. We thought the Miami game would be interesting, and it was interesting to watch how good Clemson is. But Notre Dame has looked good, and Clemson does have to play Notre Dame down the road. Not thinking that Notre Dame's going to beat them, but I think Notre Dame's a good team that could give them a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a note on Notre Dame. They can flat out run the ball. They are a rushing team, and that's not even a joke. And I would like to see them go up against a really good defense, because they really haven't gone up against a good defense. Running attack yet.
They ran the ball against nobody, which,
but we've talked about it all the time. If you're a good rushing team, what do you do against bad rushing teams?
Right.
Rushing defense.
No, absolutely.
Run the damn ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Florida State is
hot garbage.
Yeah, they're bad.
Yeah. I've got their numbers here right now. And this is what I like about getting further into the season. Things are starting to shape up. We're starting to get a better idea about these teams, other than preseason rankings, which I fucking hate preseason rankings. By the way, my opinion, and I want to get yours on this one, Ryan. Here's a squirrel. They've got in the AP and coaches poll, they've got Big Ten teams in there, and we are 2 weeks away from Big Ten games at all.
Yeah.
My opinion is, don't even put them in at all, because it's basically a preseason rank against teams who have already played.
You base it. I mean, that's like preseason. You got to have preseason ranks, and this is our preseason. Like, we're Big Ten still in their preseason, where I think we still should be in the rankings at some point, because I don't know. Ohio State's better than Cincinnati and Oklahoma State just right off the bat. So we all kind of know that. And I'm not going to make bold predictions, but if right now, today, Ohio State played Oklahoma State, North Carolina, Cincinnati.
Well, I mean,
those teams,
sure.
You say that, but I guarantee at the beginning of the season, if I said, who's a better football team, Oklahoma or Kansas State? You would have said Oklahoma, no questions asked.
That was my point. That was my point, because you've got 2 teams in the SEC who are considered to be in the top 10. Florida, LSU lost this week. Florida lost to Texas A&M. LSU lost again to Missouri.
Yeah, LSU
Missouri.
LSU's living on their life of last year right now.
I have one thing to say about that. I think new quarterback and a new offensive coordinator or whatever that is, I think that, and I was particularly talking about Oklahoma. Like, Oklahoma has a new quarterback that's had garbage time playing last year. He's coming in. Right. So I think with the lack of practice, the lack of training camp and all that stuff, it's really going to affect those teams. I mean, you look at LSU. LSU lost everybody, but they lost their offensive coordinator and their quarterback, right? They got. So, but then when I look at Ohio State, it's like, okay, literally everybody's coming back. They have offensive coordinator there. They have a top 3 quarterback in the country, probably. Like, Justin Fields is still probably in that conversation. It's not like he's going to go out there and relearn the whole playbook. He knows what needs to happen.
Same playbook, yeah.
Ryan Day already knows what needs to happen. I think they'll have the continuity to come right in and hit the ground running. Like, I guess because week 1 we were talking about Oklahoma, and we were talking about Rattler as a Heisman candidate, and they were going to just steamroll the Big 12. And it's like, maybe we should have pumped. Obviously, it's easier to say that now, but pumping the brakes and saying, hey, guy comes in, we don't know how good he is,
Right. Well, I mean, so that's kind of like where I'm like a good point. I mean, like Ohio State, yeah. I mean, but like your boys, they have you guys ranked 9th.
Right.
You got a whole new offensive coordinator, like all sorts of stuff. And I mean, they just bumped Florida below you, and I don't know I haven't seen you guys. I don't know what you guys are yet.
Hey, and I'm the biggest Penn State fan out of us 3, obviously. But there's a reason I didn't mention Penn State in that conversation. I only mentioned Ohio State because I have no idea how good Penn State's going to be.
Right.
Literally zero idea.
I love watching Penn State play Ohio State.
Yeah, minus Ohio State, because they're bringing back a lot. I have no clue what Penn State's going to be. I have no clue what Wisconsin, Michigan State, Minnesota. I have no clue what any of these fucking teams are going to be.
That was my thought.
Leave them out. Just leave them out now. Like, how can you have
that? Was my feeling.
I get that. I get that for literally I get that for everybody but Ohio State. Like
That's fair. That's fair. But you can't be half in, half out. You can't be,
But I think the big point is like with leaving them out, Ryan. It's week 4. Who gives a fuck if they're in there or not? Leave them out until they play. Like, it's not like you get points that build up week by week. It's just you got to be there. So just leave them out. Who gives a shit?
Well, let's be honest. Rankings week 5, 6, 7, they don't mean shit.
Right. So who cares if they're in there or not? Like, take them out, and then when they play, all right, they look legit. Put them in there.
Well, shit. Then now you could say like, usually your first 2 weeks, especially in the Big Ten, are your 2 out of conference games where Penn State's playing Appalachian State and North Dakota State. Yeah. So shit, might as well not even start their rankings until week 3. Once like conference season starts, then maybe start building it then. I don't know.
I don't have a problem with that. Like, I'm fine with, like, you know how they come up, like the first college football playoff rankings, was it like week 7 or 8 or something like that?
8, yeah.
8. Don't even have rankings till then, because a lot of shit, which is stupid, like when the committees make their decisions at the the big one was was it like when OU played Houston and Ohio State? We lost to Ohio State. Ohio State ended up getting in that year, I think. But OU lost to Houston, and one of the arguments to get OU in was, OU lost to number 4 Houston, and at the end of the season, I'm like, well, Houston ended up being like 8-4. They really weren't the 4th best team in the country because of pre-rankings. Like, so you're like, they use these pre-rankings, like, oh, well, you beat it at then they were ranked number 3. It's all preseason rankings. Who gives a fuck?
That's all crap. I hate that shit, man. I hate it when trying to have conversations with people and when you have to go back and you're looking at a schedule of a team, you're like, hey, this team should be in the playoffs because they only lost to like the number 3 team in the country. And like you said, that there's the teams like 5 and 6 now, right? Because if you go back and you look at the stats or whatever, the box score, it still shows what their rank was at that time when they played. It's like, no, just show me what they are now.
Well, yeah, and vice versa, kind of the same thing. Like if
that's my own thing.
Like if Kansas State ends up running the table, like, well, if they run the table, anybody runs the table in the Big 12, they're probably in, but that could only be Oklahoma State. But if Kansas State like gets in there somehow to be in the talks for the college football playoff, don't think it's going to happen, but say so. They're going to go, well, they beat number 3 Oklahoma, because that's what we were at the time. We were like, we're still not a bad football team, but we're not number 3 in the country. Like, and that's going to.
You guys back in the top 25 this week?
No.
You guys, so I know Ross, you probably watched it, but did you catch at the end of the game right after you guys? Was it right after you guys scored a touchdown? It had some young lady on the camera, and she literally. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she
was on camera and showing like sad Texas fans, and literally she just looks across the field and was like,
showed the student section, and she was just flipping the bird. So I will say though, Ryan, you went to sleep, and I'm not going to harp big on the OU game. If you missed it, you missed out. Like,
it's a good game.
That game, like, I think, like, at the end of the year when they say what's the best game of college football this season, that one will at least be in the discussion. I'm not saying it's going to be, but it'll probably be in the discussion. It's 2 hated rivals, turnovers, a comeback, quadruple overtime, missed field goals. It had everything you could.
By the way, I didn't go to sleep. I literally just walked away for 5 minutes. Like, I didn't go to sleep. I just left my desk and was watching it up here. And I went downstairs and pissed around for 10 minutes, came up, and they're in overtime. I was like, what in the hell just happened? And they kind of they preluded it, like, because your the Grinch, Grinch, is that your defensive coordinator?
Yeah, it's Grinch.
you guys got like, I don't know if it's a pick six or you got some big defensive play and then they got a 15-yard penalty for celebrating or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And he lit everybody up on the sidelines like, you idiots, you need to get your shit together. This game is not over. Right. And I'm looking at the game and I'm thinking like, oh, this game's way over. This game, there's no way they're coming back from this. And I totally disagreed with the broadcast. And then I leave for 10 minutes and come back, you know.
Grinch does, and he's done it for the last 3 games that OU, because OU's had a lead. But OU's defense for 3 quarters played lights out. They played fantastic.
I said it. I told you I'm like, where did this defense come from?
And I was like, I don't know. I really don't know. They played fantastic. But and like if you go listen to the episode after the Kansas State game, I said the same thing. I was like, going after 3 quarters, we had 9 possessions, 6 punts, 4 downs. Like, that's pretty damn good. But the fourth quarter killed us. And if you watch it and listen to the sports talk radio here, the guys that know more about football than I could ever fathom, they're saying, like, I don't know why Grinch does it, but he kind of goes to Jimmy, like we're talking about this play not to lose. And OU sacked Sam Ehlinger like 9 times in that game. They were in his face.
They're beating him up.
Yep.
Yeah, they were beating him up. And then in the
destroying
fourth quarter,
that Texas line.
OU decided Grinch went to this kind of prevent defense where he's only rushing 3 and dropping 8, and Ehlinger just started picking us apart because he had an hour to throw the ball, and our defensive backs can't cover the. I mean, you can't I think it's I think they say it's like 5 seconds, 6 seconds, something like that. Like you can expect the defensive back to literally shut somebody down for about 5-6 seconds, and then after that, it's free game.
Yeah.
Right.
And like Ehlinger probably sat back there like for 8, 9, 10 seconds, just la-di-da, because we're only rushing 3. He did it against Kansas State, Iowa State, and Texas, and we've lost double-digit leads in the fourth quarter in all 3 of those games.
And I said it before: if you've got Sam Ehlinger, and then let's say you've got their wide receivers locked down past that 6-second mark, he's going to get you 10. He's going to get you 10. He's too good of a runner.
And I'll tell you what,
quite a bit.
Sam Ehlinger is a fucking douche. He did give me my favorite line ever of the Texas is back thing, because they are not back anywhere but the gutter, which is awesome. But
they're back. They're back right where they belong. About a mediocre team.
But I will tip my hat to Sam Ehlinger. That kid did everything he could to win that game.
I was going to say,
ass off.
He did not
ass off.
After watching that game, I have nothing bad. I mean, I'm not a Sam Ehlinger hater. I always liked him since he's been in there, but he ain't nobody on the field trying harder than he is. You know what I mean?
No, he busted his ass. He did great.
Right. And I'm sure he was gassed at the end of it, and he put everything out on the field. And I respect players like that. So to be honest, I think Ehlinger's had a great career at Texas, and obviously he didn't get the accolades at the end.
I gotta go do something.
There you go.
Okay.
He has had a great career at Texas. My favorite thing about Texas and Sam Ehlinger, he went 1-5 against my Sooners, so that's always a plus.
Yeah.
But so we were kind of talking about this though, Ryan. Not saying they will or whatever, but like looking at Texas's schedule, they lost to TCU, lost to OU. They should have lost to Texas Tech. They should be 1-3 right now.
Right.
They still got to play Kansas State, Iowa State, and they've got to go to Stillwater and play Oklahoma State, who's damn good. So they could very easily, and I think we're only playing 9 games, they could be 5-4, 4-5 very easily.
Yeah.
Did they move on from Tom Herman? He had that 1 year, but other than that,
how many years has he been there? Was this his 3rd year? Is this his 4th year? Fourth year?
This is kind of what we were talking about too. Like, and we've said it before. Like, OU, like you said it. We should have seen it coming. Like us guys, new quarterback, lost pretty much our all offensive line, lost Kenneth Moore. We've lost all this stuff.
Lost running back.
Lost running backs. If there was a year to beat Oklahoma, this is the year. I mean, they brought back wide receivers, Ehlinger, running backs, like the whole defense. Like, this was the year to do it, and they still can't do it.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. 4 years. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing with that rivalry. Like, if Herman goes 1-5, or if he loses again next year, if he sticks around for another year and goes 1-6 against Oklahoma, like, it's kind of like Michigan and Ohio State, right? If Michigan's a good team for 5 years and they don't beat Ohio State 1 year, their coach is on the hot seat instantly. But even if they're 10-2 every single year or whatever it is, right? Like,
So far at Texas, and granted, Texas minus Mac Brown, Texas has not been good since. So what? That's like 10 years running now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So he has gone at Texas 7-6, 10-4, 8-5, and is now 2-2. So he's 27-17. And then I also saw a stat that said that in those 4 years, no team has been ranked and lost to unranked teams more than Texas. They've been ranked and lost to an unranked team 10 times in 4 years.
What an awful stat. The answer is yes, he should be on the hot seat. Do they have somebody lined up that can replace him? That's to be seen. Going back, so I was like, I don't know if I was one of the rare guys, but I do remember when Charlie Strong got released. I don't think I thought he was starting to turn things around, and I love his coaching style. I love the no nonsense, like drill sergeant Charlie Strong. I love that shit. Like,
right.
I kind of wanted to see more of Charlie Strong there, and they kind of moved him out because they had an opportunity to get Herman, and then Herman comes in. So I feel like you got to have somebody that Texas, the AD there, whoever it is, needs to have somebody lined up and ready to go.
The name that I brought up to Jimmy, who just got fired a week ago, Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien, oh shit, yeah.
I was like, he's still out there. And
right.
If Texas thinks they could get him, would they drop Herman mid-season and just be like, hey, we're going to hire you at the end of the year. You've got a job. Just like, don't go sign with anybody else. And drop Herman, just get an interim, pretty much sit out this year, and then get Bill O'Brien.
Logistically, that works out. I mean, how far is Houston from Austin? That's not that far. I think it's only an hour and a half or something, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think that, it's an hour. Because actually, I went to concerts. I went back-to-back nights in Houston and Austin.
And I know Bill O'Brien's got some – he'd probably love to keep his family in Texas with his son. You know, his son has got issues. And I just feel like Bill O'Brien would be up for the job. I think Bill O'Brien, if he could go to Texas, I mean, I'm a big Bill O'Brien fan. He's the guy that saved Penn State.
He did fantastic at Penn State. He did wonders at Penn State.
Right. And he saved that program. James Franklin came in and hit the ground running and took it to another level. But if it wasn't for Bill O'Brien, what he did for Penn State, I don't think they'd be where they're at now. So I
still think you guys would have recovered because you wouldn't have got Franklin.
No.
And so you guys, if Bill O'Brien was there, you guys still might be in the gutter.
Right. And so I have nothing but good. I know a lot of Penn State fans don't have good thoughts on Bill O'Brien. They didn't want him to leave and all that stuff. I'm not one of those guys. When he left, I said, hey, man, thank you for the 2 years that you gave us. You know, go make your money, go win a Super Bowl, go do whatever you want to do and have fun.
Get fired in 3 years. It's fine.
Yeah. It's been longer than that, hasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, he's
been there
Houston,
a while.
Houston was a dumpster fire when he got there, and he took that team and went to the playoffs multiple times. And yeah, this year they're not looking too hot, but and he traded away.
Yeah, they've had issues. Well, they had issues at quarterback for a real long time.
Yep.
Then they got Deshaun Watson, who's actually pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Defense. They had a strong defense for a long time. They still have a pretty good defense. JJ Watt is no joke.
Yeah, him and Jadeveon Clowney on each end of the defensive line. It's a solid job.
They couldn't re-sign Clowney. They traded away DeAndre Hopkins.
By the way, it was 6 years ago.
Okay, 6 years.
This is the 7th year.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say they've made the playoffs a couple times at least. Last year for sure.
I don't know if this is on Jimmy's note list, but we got to talk about the benching of Rattler and what that did to the team and what it did to him and him coming out in the second half and kind of.
It was genius.
It was absolutely genius. So I didn't catch the first quarter. I didn't catch. I didn't see his fumble and his interception, and I didn't see him trying to. I heard he was trying to make too much of the play.
Both were really bad. The interception, the DN dropped into coverage, and wasn't sneaky. He just dropped into coverage, and Rattler just didn't see it and literally hit him in the face mask with it.
Yeah.
And then the fumble, he tried to scramble up the pocket when it's collapsing instead of throwing the ball away or getting down, and he got hit, and the ball just he had the ball in one hand and just got knocked it, being careless with the football.
Right, and he came out in the second half and he did nothing. All he did was take care of the football and checked his first read, his second read, and just got rid of the ball after that and just like did everything probably what your coach wants him to do. You know, it's like, Spencer, we're not telling you to go out there and throw 800 yards like the boys in the past have. You know, it's like go out there, run the offense, score touchdowns. You know.
Well, yeah, and I think it was like the big one was because like Spencer Rattler, like everybody's been talking about it, everybody's heard about him for years coming, and the quarterback, he's still a freshman.
Yeah,
and I think the sitting of him was like. Yeah. Boy, like you ain't all this team in.
You're not giving this. You're not giving
other
this.
Team members, other good players.
Mordecai came in and actually ran the offense.
And they moved the ball great. The only reason they were probably going to score a touchdown, but the Pledger fumbled, the running back.
Yeah,
like a 25-yard
run. That game was sloppy.
Yeah,
when it came down to fumbles and interceptions.
Like he was moving the ball well with them. I thought Mordecai was going to stay in because I was like, damn, like they're moving the ball pretty well with him.
Yeah.
Don't break it.
Yeah, it was a genius move, and Spencer Rattler earned his stripes.
That's what I was going to say.
Like as hard as he played late in the game.
For the best quarterback in high school to come into a college and to follow those guys, to follow Baker and to follow Kyler Murray, and he's probably got this. I mean, he doesn't look like it. He looks like he's very composed, but I'm sure he's got a big head on him, you know. And I'm sure people are hyping him up, and he's believing the hype and all this stuff. So for your coach to like sit him down and say, hey, you got to earn this stuff. It's not granted. You got to go out there and you got to run the offense and you got to do what we're telling you to do. Don't try to be this 5-star guy that was throwing the ball over in high school. Like, you're coming here to run my offense. This is my team, my offense. All you got to do is go out there and execute. And he came out in the second half and did nothing but that. Like he just came out and ran the offense and did everything he possibly could. And I don't know. I gained a lot of respect for him because it's a humbling experience, right?
So here's when they asked about it, what Lincoln had to say about it. He said, I thought Spencer did some good things early, and he had a couple plays I really didn't like. I felt Tanner would go play well. I also felt like it would help Spencer step back for a second and kind of see the whole thing a little bit and settle down. And I think that happened.
Nailed it right on the head. Take back. Hey, sit on the bench, take a deep breath, get back up here, watch how the offense is supposed to be run. Second half, you're coming back out, and I expect you to do your best. You know, that was a brilliant move. Like who does that? Especially in that game. You know,
when I saw
somebody who understands how quarterbacks work, like Lincoln Riley.
When I saw Mordecai come out, like I sat up in my chair. I was like, "Holy fuck, that's Tanner Mordecai!" Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I saw that too.
There was speculation, like, oh, maybe he twisted an ankle, or maybe like got it.
Well, it was right after,
yeah, they were working his right arm.
Fumble where he got hit, and like they're like, yeah, I think he kind of got hit funny and like landed funny, and they showed him outside, like kind of getting his arm massaged, and then Tanner Mordecai came out, and they thought that it was an injury, and then it turned out like after the next drive, they're like, nope, Spencer's fine. He's sitting there like hand and helmet, and he's like,
yep.
He just got benched.
Yep. That's a brilliant move, and I'm sure it will help Spencer throughout his career and say, hey, this isn't given. I can't be going out there being careless with the football, and I'm
sure it was a humbling moment. I don't know him personally, but and Ross, you'd probably have a better idea on this one on his personality, but considering he's a kid, like a redshirt freshman who was the number one quarterback in Arizona in the country, like. I'm sure he's got an ego. Like all of them have an ego. Well, not only that, I'm sure that was pretty humbling of him.
Well, not only that, but like from what I've read, like even when he came in as a true freshman, and Jalen Hurts was there. Obviously, Hurts was kind of the leader, and so was Kenneth Murray. But like as a true freshman, 18-year-old kid, like he had the ears of his everybody on the team. Like they listened to him, even as an 18-year-old true freshman. So, like, when people are listening to you, you're getting all this hype and blah, 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 blah. It just builds and builds and builds. And for Lincoln to go, nope, sit.
Right. And so, I'm not saying Kyler isn't as good as Baker was, but Baker was the type of guy where Lincoln could rely on and say, hey, when shit breaks down, go do Baker things and go scramble. Houdini. Yeah, you're Houdini. You're Johnny. Like, Johnny Football is the same way. Like, Johnny Football was good when everything broke down and he could just do whatever the hell he wanted to. Like Spencer might not be that guy. He might be better technically, better thrower of the ball. Like he can't try to be Baker. Like let Baker do Baker things, and like you need to go out there and run the offense and your talent will just show itself.
We'll see how it goes going forward. And he kind of showed it later on after he came back in. And this will be the last about OU. We got lots of other stuff to talk about. But I guess the thing to watch, I guess, Lincoln says of all the quarterbacks at OU, Kyler Baker and Jalen, it's not even close. Spencer Rattler throws the ball on the run better than any three of those guys, and it's not even close.
Yeah, and you could see that in the tape. Watching that game,
kind of getting plays where he's not dropping back, but roll them out, let him throw on the run, and kind of build that part of the offense.
Yeah.
Well, this will be interesting. OU showed something like offensive line looked better, running game looked better. So this week off. Then next week we go play TCU after that. So it doesn't get easier, and we're going to see if OU might have figured some shit out.
Yeah.
Yep. So I did want to go back to the SEC and these vaunted SEC defenses of the past being a foregone conclusion. Like SEC defenses are not good this year. They're actually quite bad. In particular, Florida.
Well, you know what SEC defenses are actually good? The teams that play Mississippi State.
Except for LSU. By the way, So I said I didn't think a Mike Leach offense would sputter like it did 2 weeks in a row, and here we are. Anyway, but I wanted to bring it up because in terms of SEC defenses, I was looking up the numbers. Georgia, as of right now, for points allowed, is the best. They're sitting at 6 in the country, allowing 12.3 points per game. Pretty good. The next best is Auburn, allowing 22.7 points per game. But here's the crazy thing. Ahead of Auburn are 2 Big 12 teams. There are 2 Big 12 teams that are better than Auburn, and there's one team better than Georgia.
Actually, no, Jimmy, you're wrong. John, there's 3 Big 12 ahead of Auburn.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. 2 ahead of Auburn, 1 ahead of the best in the SEC, Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma State's sitting at 3.
Oak State's 3, West Virginia and Baylor are all in there.
Wow.
And that's Oklahoma State against Big 12 offenses. West Virginia, granted, is not good this year on offense.
And Tulsa is not
Tulsa's decent. They're okay.
Yeah, they're not great. Kansas, okay, whatever. I mean,
Oklahoma
State, they got Baylor, got postponed. I mean, they're going to hit the rest. We're going to figure out what Oklahoma State's made of real quick because they have this week as a postpone, and then they play Iowa State, Texas, Kansas State, OU, TCU, Baylor with no breaks.
Texas is good. Texas
puts up points. Their offense is
very good. Yeah. So that was just something that I wanted to bring up because
it's kind of interesting.
We always talk about SEC defenses, and they're not good this year.
Right.
Quite bad.
But I mean, I think kind of looking at it, and it kind of helps my argument. So fuck you guys, because we always have. If you guys didn't know, I'm a Big 12 fan. They're Big 10. We always have they have their defenses, and we have our offenses, and they say that their defenses are fantastic. Like, well, you don't play shit for defense, and then you don't play shit for offenses, and vice versa. But looking at you're talking about these vaunted SEC defenses. Okay, well, looking at the offenses, Ole Miss is number 2, Alabama is number 3, LSU's in the top 25, Florida's in the top 25, A&M's in the top 25, Mississippi State's in the top 25. So I don't know, and Georgia's probably 30th looking at it. So I don't know how much of it is the defense have got worse or the offense has caught up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Florida's really possible. Florida's always had a decent decent defense, but they just couldn't figure out offense to save their damn life. They were bad on freaking offense. Yeah. Georgia, they usually pretty good. LSU obviously last year was fantastic. Mississippi State.
I think it's a little bit. It's hard to say it's a little bit of both because you talk about LSU dropping drastically over the past couple of years. Their defensive coordinator left, and it is currently Bo Pelini, of former Nebraska head coach and Youngstown State head coach,
and Oklahoma offense coordinator.
That's so weird.
Really?
That is so weird. Anyway, that would make sense because Bob Stoops being from Youngstown. Bo Pelini's also from Youngstown, I believe.
Yeah, he was there before he went to – no, I think he left Oh, he was only there for a year.
So what's that based on?
He was a defensive backs coach. He wasn't an offense coordinator, but still.
Okay, that makes more sense. But those defensive stats, are they just based on total yards? Like defensive rankings?
The ones I was looking at were points per game.
So I look at Alabama, and Mizzou scored 19 on them. A&M scored 24. Like how many of that was in garbage time? I'm not sure. Ole Miss their offense looked good against Alabama, so that there's nothing you can say about that one.
Yes.
But
Lane Kiffin's got that offensive fire.
Yeah.
I want to say it's a little. I don't want to say it's a little bit of both, but I think the SEC is starting to catch up in terms of offense. Mike Leach there now. Lane Kiffin back at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin was the one who completely revived.
Oh, he totally froze. Anyways, but yeah, no, Ryan. I mean, I don't know which one it is. I don't know if it's defenses got worse, the offensives got better. I mean, the Big Ten, and when I say the Big Ten not playing offense, I'm not saying that your offenses are good. It's just a different style of offense. It ain't that spread them out, put them up. You guys can run the ball better than anybody in the country. About 10 of your 12 teams can.
Right. I'll push back on that a little bit. Last year, Minnesota liked to spread the ball around. They had multiple 1,000-yard receivers. Ohio State is a juggernaut on offense. Penn State the past couple years, offensively, passing game they struggled last year. But I mean, when Trace was there, we were throwing the ball all over the field. Like
you guys threw the ball really well.
Yeah, offensively, so. What it kind of boils down to is like maybe these conferences are a lot closer than what we thought. Maybe defensively, the Big 12 is not as bad as we thought, and maybe they're not as good on offense as we thought. Maybe the Big 10 is not just defense, and there's more offense involved, and maybe the SEC is not just all defense. It's like
I think it is what I think. Okay, let's put it this way. I think it was that. I think the Big 10 had SEC had these badass defenses, offenses that were okay, good to okay. Big 12 had shit defenses, but these fantastic offenses, and it was like that. But then the Big 12 was like, all right, well, we got to build up our defenses. And and then the Big 10 and the SEC was like, all right, well, we got to build up our offenses. So I think it was like that, but I think
it's starting to level out.
Yeah, it's starting to level out. Like, all right, well, they figured out we got to fix this.
Hey, Jimmy, you're back.
Yeah. Hey. So
we're back.
I don't know what happened. Yeah. So I was gonna say. What you guys were saying is the exact same thing I was saying when we got disconnected, but
because we're that good,
you don't have it's a new day and age in college football. You cannot have a bad offense and consider to be a top end team. You have to have a stellar offense. And
also we haven't brought in the Pac-12 on this talk yet either. They might still be ass on defense except for Stanford.
True.
It's like. Right. They might still be the old Big 12 of just we're Utah. Just going to spread it out Utah, yeah.
But I mean, like if you look at I don't know, I have to go look at the actual numbers, but like last year LSU's offense was
astronomical.
One of the best we've ever seen, if not the best we've ever seen. It was idiotic. Yeah. Clemson's offenses that they've had with Trevor Lawrence have been stupid good.
Yeah.
Alabama's like if you look at all the last like Ohio State when you guys won, your offense was fantastic. Like kind of Jimmy said, you can't win a national championship averaging 20 to 25 points a game.
No matter who you play. Yeah,
you're gonna have to be in the 30s, 40s. Yep. Like you're gonna have to be putting up simple numbers.
Yeah, you're like I said, your top end teams are gonna have stellar offenses.
Yeah,
and even if it's played today, so it was Oklahoma a couple weeks ago where they had 4 interceptions thrown directly in their hands and they dropped them. It's like that defense looks way different. If you get 2 or 3 takeaways, but you give up 400 yards or whatever it is, or 500 yards, you can do that. But if you get 2 or 3 takeaways, that defense is playing pretty well. It changes the whole last. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like if going back to kind of to the OU game, granted it went into quadruple overtime, so there was a lot of garbage time, like not garbage time because it was overtime, but a lot of yards at the end, but Texas finished with like 430 yards of offense, but OU had 3 turnovers. So everybody's like, all right, the defense actually played pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, that changes games. Like, hey, it's kind of the exact opposite of what I've always said. Like, and I've compared it to teams that I love watching, but the bend not break attitude of, hey, we'll give up yards, but we get in the red zone. Let's make them kick field goals. Let's do all that stuff. Like, I don't. Do teams need to like go out on a limb and make riskier plays and like blitz more, and
I think so, because I mean the way and we're seeing it in the NFL as well as college football. Like these offenses are getting better and better and better, and they're not slowing down at all.
Yeah.
So getting back, not saying that we'll never see it again, but the steel curtain of the Steelers, Baltimore Ravens 2000 defense, the old Giants,
Denver Broncos when they won. I mean they were an all-timer. Yeah.
Those defenses are way few and far between. You need the Legion of Boom. They got interceptions and hit people and caused fumbles. And
they're just good all around. That's not saying it's a thing of the past, but they are rare.
If you get NFL and college football games right now are so different.
Yeah.
So we'll see with the SEC. I did see something that I don't know if it's true. Or if it was just Nick Saban being a little whiny bitch. I'm going with option 2. But with him giving up that many points for the first time in God knows how long, he said he was convinced that Ole Miss had their signals.
Oh, I did see that, yeah.
I was
listen,
come on.
Nick Saban, you're better than that. Just, you teach that. I read that and I'm like, dude, you've got to be better than that. You've got to be better than that. You won the game 1, 2. You're teaching your kids, and I know this is a Nick Saban thing, accountability.
Wait, what exactly did he say here? I'm not going to knock him because I don't want to take anything out of context, but what exactly? I heard that he said that.
Somebody asked because Ole Miss had 48 points and 650 yards of offense, with Lane Kiffin being a coach of the past, do you think that they had the offensive calls? And he's like, I don't know for a fact, but seeing those numbers, it wouldn't shock me if they knew our play, knew our signals.
Better, Nick Saban.
Yeah,
I know he's an avid listener to our podcast.
Yeah, Nick, but you're better than him.
Be better, Nick Saban.
But you're right. Even if it is true, he should go out there and be like, "No, we played like crap. We're going to do better next week." No matter what no matter if it's true or not, he should do that.
When you're a top end team. Espionage is not a thing that is just a conspiracy theory. Well, if you're a team that wants to win and wants to make your mark, you're going to take every advantage you can. What is it? If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Well, right? And the thing is, don't get me wrong, Ole Miss hasn't been really known for their defense, but I said Ole Miss had 650 yards and 48 points. Alabama had fucking 63 points and 730 yards of offense. Yeah. Did you have their play calls, dude? Come on.
Exactly. Like we said, be better, Nick Saban.
Yep.
Yeah. So
moving on.
Yeah. So I don't have anything else. Maybe just a few quick things here. 2 weeks can't come fast enough. I'm ready to watch Big Ten football if it happens. Tennessee, this is a doy thing. Tennessee was and is highly overrated. They lost to Kentucky. Who'd they lose to? No, they played Kentucky this week. They lost this past week to Arkansas and finished the game with -1 yards rushing.
Not true.
No, Georgia. They lost to Georgia.
Yeah, let's say because Arkansas got hosed.
Yeah, not Arkansas. That was Arkansas Auburn. They lost to Georgia, and
24-21.
Yeah, and I was watching it, and they were kind of close, and I thought to myself, hey, maybe Tennessee's kind of good. Then I dig into the numbers. I'm like, no, Tennessee's bad.
Well,
Tennessee's bad.
Georgia might be really good, though.
Georgia might be really good.
Again, you say that about Tennessee, but Tennessee won at South Carolina. South Carolina's not a bad football team. They beat Missouri, and Missouri just beat Florida.
No. I'm gonna say I think Georgia is better. I think Tennessee is not a top 15 team.
They're not 15th. They're 18th.
Yeah, I was gonna say overrated. They're at 18th.
I still think that's highly overrated. I think they could possibly lose this next week, but we'll see.
Well, guess what? You're gonna have a chance to tell me that here.
Hey, you know what? That's a fantastic segue. Let's do it. Let's get into that.
All right, so everybody, we're gonna move on from college football. Before we do, we're going to go into our picks of the week. Jimmy, you want to rattle off our stats real quick? You got them up, just so everybody can.
Last week.
We're good.
Last week, Ross won this week. He went 4-2. I went 3-3. I was very close to being right about OU Texas, even though OU, because if Texas scores that touchdown, misses the 2-point conversion, then they cover that -2, and I would have got it. But Jimmy, that's not Jimmy, the way
it
went.
I'm gonna pull a Sandy Clemens line on you on this one. Like, if ifs and buts were cherries and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Literally heard that 20 years before you said that, so we'll move on.
Well, because you're 48. You're 48, so you heard it like as in college.
Anyway, I went 3-3, and Ryan bringing up the rear, 2-4. On the year, Ross still in the lead at 17-12. I'm at second, 13-16. Ryan, 11-18. For those of you who are listening, I am not keeping track of your overall wins and losses and picks. So if you want to send us those and you want to be recognized for those, because Matt Gray, our number one fan, he's sending us what his are. I'm like, what's your overall? Then I'd like to see, how much better we are at this than you are. So in Ryan's case, probably not much.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, you could be.
To be fair, I'm under 500 as well. Ross is the only one over 500.
Are we really shocked by that, though, guys? Come on now.
No. Well, and
we are not gamblers.
Also, me and Jimmy are avid Big Ten fans. Big Ten hasn't played yet. All we've gotten to pick on is Big 12 games, and that's Ross has got it. That's my excuse.
That's the reason, right?
After that, I have no excuse. That's all I'm saying.
Except there are ACC games in there, and whatever. Anyway, so what do we got this? What do we got this week, Ross?
Okay, so this is kind of a week for games.
Do me a favor. Do the way I put it up on the record. Do the favorite second.
The second favorite. Okay.
Because all the spreads are always minus, so I always have the favorites as the second.
Okay, got it. Jim, yeah. I can do that for you, kind sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So the one that Jimmy already brought up, Kentucky, Tennessee, at Tennessee. Kentucky is a 5.5 point favorite. Brian.
5.5. These stupid spreads.
There's been some weird ones this year, that's for sure.
So that is who's the favorite again? So Tennessee.
Kentucky is 5.5 point favorite.
Tennessee can win by a touchdown.
I'll take Tennessee at home.
They're in.
They're at Rocky Top.
Rocky Top. Okay. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I am going to go with Tennessee.
They're so overrated, though, Jimmy. What the hell?
Okay, I was kind of buttering you guys up because, granted, Tennessee can't run the ball and Kentucky can stop the run, but Tennessee, they can pass the ball. So I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Cool.
Ross, where did you go?
I'm right. I'm going to go with Tennessee. When you say they're overrated, I get it. I think they did actually, Jimmy, get up to like 11th or 12th or some shit like that.
Yeah, I thought they were like a top 10 team at one point because they were undefeated.
I don't think they got that. I think they were around 10th, but yeah, I think that's a little high. However, I think they're a top 25 football team. I do. Even when the Big Ten and Pac-12 comes back, I think they're a top 25 football team. And yeah, I think they're going to beat Kentucky. I'm taking Tennessee.
Okay, so 3 for Tennessee. It's an easy one.
If that spread were any bigger, I'd go Kentucky. But it's 5.5. It's so dumb. Anyway,
Jimmy, you said it like I don't want to hear that. Last week when we were picking OU Texas, you're like, oh, the spread's 2.5. Oh, that's such a weird one. If it was 3, I might pick 2. I'm like, oh, really? Half a point makes that much of a difference.
2.5. It was 2. Yeah, I don't know. That's why. Okay. Listen, folks. That's why you don't real life gamble. And don't listen to us.
Hey, I do it. I'm fine.
Oh yeah. If you're good at it, I mean,
I do just fine, guys. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay, so the one with the biggest spread, not as fun, but Florida State at, or is it? Wait, was it? No, it's at Florida State, but it's Florida State, North Carolina. North Carolina, they only have as a 10-point favorite.
At Florida State.
Yeah, at Florida State. North Carolina they are 3-0, but they did struggle with BC, only beating them 26-22. And I mean, they beat Virginia Tech in North Carolina 56-45, but that game was close. That was a very.
So I got my pick.
Go ahead. I got mine too.
I got to take North Carolina. By the way, there's something we didn't mention. When's the last time 3 ACT teams were in the top 5? It's trivia question because I don't know the answer, but
probably back when Jimbo Fisher was still at Florida State.
Maybe,
which is like 3 or 4 years ago.
Well, I mean, I know 2. Well, I guess UNC had a couple good teams back then.
So I've learned one thing this year is no matter what the spread is, you never take Florida State. So I'm going to take North Carolina. I think they are if there is such a thing as a dumpster fire, they are the dumpster fire in the ACC, if not the country. You know.
So with this, I don't know. Did you guys watch College Game Day?
No.
Past week.
No, I did not.
Okay, I watch Big Dude Saturdays on Fox.
The Bear brought up a very interesting stat talking about how weird this fucking season is. If you took every college football game that had a 10-point underdog or more, a double-digit underdog, the double-digit underdog covers the spread like 70% of the time this season.
I don't care. Florida State.
I'm
going UNC. I'm going to go UNC.
I'm taking North Carolina. I'm just trying to butter you guys up.
I'm going UNC because UNC did play tight against Boston College and against Virginia Tech close, but I think those are 2 teams that have pretty good defenses, if not very good defenses. And I think UNC's power or their strength is their ability to score, is their offense, because it's Mac Brown.
Yeah, Sam Howell's great. He can throw the ball very well. Running game's decent. I'm taking North Carolina too. I think Florida State's just god awful. Good Lord, they're bad.
Yeah, it's so confusing to me. It's really confusing me to see a program with that type of pedigree. I mean, ever since Jameis left, they have not been good since Jameis Winston left.
No, they've been trash.
They've been very bad.
Some very highly rated quarterbacks.
It started when Jameis Winston left and then Jimbo Fisher left. They were still pretty good when Jimbo was there, but
Jimbo left it a hot mess.
He left it a hot mess. And then you know what they did? They paid way too much money for Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart was not great at Oregon, right? And then they paid him way too much money. Then they had to pay him to buy him out to leave. And they brought in Mike Norvell, was good at Memphis, was pretty good at Memphis, but they gotta let him redevelop, because they didn't let Willie Taggart redevelop because Willie Taggart was a dog crap coach. But they can recruit, man. They can still recruit. They can still bring in big names.
That's the hardest thing for me to understand. And we're kind of seeing it with LSU this year is, I get it. You lose a lot of players, but you still have this top recruiting class. And it's like, how do you go from by far the best team in the country, like historically the best team in the country, like last year LSU was unbelievable, to go to
LSU's
looking like,
LSU I think is a little different than Florida State. LSU, they seem to be great every 5 or 6 years, and then after, in between, they're I would say
that's true.
8, 9 months. Florida State through the 90s, and when James said, they were the hottest shit out there. They were fantastic.
Yep.
And kind of like you're saying, with that pedigree, they should still get.
I would love to hear.
Talent.
I would love to hear what Bobby Bowden is saying about the team. It's like, man,
they play good. They play good.
They're good. They're good. It's like they did, but the good kids.
Oh, I hope I saw that he got the Corvids.
Did he?
I think I saw something come up the other day that he had it. So hopefully he's all right, because I know he's getting up there. But
yeah,
I know, guys. I know she doesn't want to say anything, and I know you guys can see it, but
yes,
I'm here in Tucson visiting my youngest daughter, and she's climbing all over me.
All right, so next game we'll stay with the Power Fives.
Okay.
Arkansas, Ole Miss at Arkansas. Ole Miss is only a 3.5-point favorite. Arkansas just played Auburn very well.
Yes,
they
did. Felipe Franks, he's their starting quarterback. No, Ross hasn't gone first yet.
Oh yeah, Ross, your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. Well, I picked the games, you dick.
So
I'm gonna go Ole Miss. Don't get me wrong, Arkansas, they played Auburn well, and they beat Mississippi State, and whoopee shit. I mean, Ole Miss, I don't think Arkansas can keep up with Ole Miss's offense. They put up 35 on Florida, put up 42 on Kentucky, and put up 48 on Alabama. I don't see Kentucky doing much better than that, and I don't see I don't see Arkansas doing much better than that, stopping them. I don't see Arkansas scoring 35-plus points. Yeah. So I think Ole Miss is just going to, like, they don't really have to stop them because I don't think Arkansas's offense is that fantastic. I think they're just going to put up a shit ton of points.
Yeah.
I actually kind of think that I think Arkansas's offense isn't as bad. Well, Arkansas's offense is obviously not great, but it's not bad. Like I said, Auburn is number 22 in the country in points allowed, and they played them tight, and Arkansas got screwed. Arkansas got screwed.
They should have won that game.
Auburn should have won that game. So I'm having a hard time focusing because I got a purple witch's broom getting thrown in my face. This isn't hard. This one's really hard. I think you said it's in Mississippi.
Ole Miss. It's at Arkansas.
At Arkansas. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Ole Miss on this one. My question is, do I think Ole Miss is gonna win by a field goal? No, I think they'll probably win. I think this is gonna be. If it's not a shootout. If it's not a we score, they score, we score, they score type game, it's going to be a blowout for Ole Miss. So I'm going to go Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Ole Miss too. The only reason I'm scared about it is, do they have a hangover after taking Alabama to the wire? Because that game did go down to the wire. I mean, they had a chance they kicked a field goal at the end of the game and tried to kick an onside kick, and they got that onside kick. They're going in to tie the game. Are those players going to be able to turn that grind around in a week? And it's like I'm assuming they are. Like, they've scored a bunch of points this whole year, and those players know they're in the SEC and know that it doesn't get any easier every week. You play Alabama one week, you got to get up and ready to play the next guy the next week. So I got to go with Ole Miss.
Yeah. So I'm realizing a pattern in the 3 games that we've covered. We're all picking the same teams. We're probably going to have to do a tiebreaker if it ends up where we're all picking the same teams.
There's no tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker. I'm by far I'm 15 games in the rear, so
yeah,
ain't breaking any ties.
So all right, we got 2 games that are non-Power 5. First one, BYU. This is a Friday night game, by the way. BYU at Houston. Oh, sorry, Jimmy, I did it wrong. The game's at Houston. First, BYU. BYU is the favorite. BYU's -4.
Okay. Can you guys hear my dog too?
No.
No, we're good
here.
Yeah, BYU is -4 favorite.
BYU -4 against Houston, and of course, I know nothing of that one. You said it's in Houston. You said it's in Houston.
It is at Houston. Yeah.
And I don't know how either team is. Anybody got a coin? Hey, I got an idea. Cadence, I just need you to say one or the other, okay? Because I need your help. Ready? BYU or Houston? Say whichever one. Just say one of the names. Houston? Okay. If I lose, I'm going Houston because my daughter said so. And I don't know anything about them, so whatever.
All right. Well, I'm going with BYU. Houston's played 1 game this year. I've just looked this up.
I do know these teams a little bit better. I'm going BYU. BYU's played 4 games. Houston's played 1. Actually, I might pick COVID on this one. I don't know. But BYU, they've got an offense, man. They can put up some freaking points. What was it, 43 or 44 points a game, 560 yards of offense. Granted, I don't think they've really played anybody fantastic.
Navy
beat up on Navy 55-3.
Yeah.
But then Troy, Louisiana Tech, and UTSA, like, okay, cool story. So they haven't beat anybody, but I just kind of like we were talking about, Ryan, earlier with, some of the Big Ten teams coming in, like what happened with OU and some player teams, like not getting like the game reps and coming in kind of having the rust to knock off. BYU does not have that because they played for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Houston not playing but one game in 5 weeks. I think they're going to be rusty, and I think BYU's going to – I think they're going to romp them pretty bad.
Yeah, that makes sense if I had that type of information at my disposal, but I didn't.
That's why I made you go first, Jimmy.
Listen.
I guess what? Now we're all picking the same team, so that could be the tiebreaker. BYU.
There you go, Jimmy. There's your tiebreaker.
But here's the truth, though. If it's right, I'm just going to ask Cadence every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Please do that. I'll take my season winnings and just leave.
Anyway, moving on.
All right, second to last one. Memphis versus UCF. UCF -3.
I'll go first here.
Run your turn.
I'm going to go with Memphis. Didn't UCF just lose a pretty embarrassing
Yes, they did.
game? Yeah.
They did. They just lost to Tulsa.
Yeah.
For no other reason because they just lost to Tulsa, I'm going to go with Memphis.
I am going to go with I think I'm going to go with I don't know much about Memphis. I think I want to go with UCF just because I feel like you could possibly bounce back, and they're not a bad football team, and Tulsa might kind of be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to go with UCF.
Yeah.
I think that, they did lose to Tulsa, but Tulsa is better than – I mean, Tulsa played Oklahoma State really, really close. Did end up beating UCF. So I think Tulsa's better than what they think. And I think like they still have a great offense, UCF does, with Gabriel, their quarterback.
Yes, yeah, he's
already at
quite good.
1,200 yards in 3 games.
Yeah.
He's quite good.
Like, good sport. So, yeah, I'm going to take UCF to win that.
Yeah, I'm going with Memphis because Penny Hardaway's their coach. So.
Oh, is he buying players still?
So, hey, yeah, Penny Hardaway was one of my favorite players growing up. I had his shoes. I had a poster on my wall.
He was great.
So go Memphis. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So the main reason we do this week.
Yo, spit it out.
Georgia. Well, I was trying to figure out who the home team is because you have to have the home team first or second. Or
I just need the favorite. Yeah.
Georgia at Alabama.
Oof.
Bama is a 5-point favorite.
Yikes.
Number 2 versus number 3.
All right, your turn, Ross. Go ahead.
I'm excited for this game. I had my notes on there. My notes for this game was Georgia, Bama, and then wide open eyes. I'm squarely looking at that game this week.
Bama by 5, huh?
Yep, at Bama. I am going to take Alabama, and this isn't part of the pick, but I'm going to go ahead and say Alabama wins by 2 touchdowns plus.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Georgia yet at all. They like Auburn and Tennessee, they did like the final scores were close. But like the first half, I mean, Tennessee was up 21-17 at the half against Georgia. Then Georgia turns it on in the second half, which is great. But if you start off shitty in the first half against Alabama, you're going to be down 28 points and the game's over by. It's not even close. And they played like the other games that they've played have been kind of close. So I do think they're a good football team. But I don't think they're top 4. I don't think they're playoff, and I don't think they can hang with Alabama at all. So I'm going to take Alabama, and I'm willing to say Alabama knocks them up pretty bad.
I'm going to take Alabama as well, not because you picked them, Ross. All right.
Sure. You need to get back on the winning train. I get it.
So, based on our conversation, based on our conversation earlier about Alabama's defense and, Saban making excuses, possibly and all that stuff. I got a feeling Alabama's defense is going to come out looking a little stronger than they did last week. They probably got a little embarrassed by Lane Kiffin's offense at Ole Miss. And I don't know. I see coaches lighting a fire under their ass. Ross, you mentioned that early in the year about Oklahoma's offensive line, and it's like,
they played better last Saturday.
They played better, and it's like, well, I mean, if you can't get up for the Texas game, then you don't need to be on that team. So,
I agree.
Going against number 3 Georgia, if you can't get up for this game, then
right. And this is Alabama's big game. Looking at LSU this year, they're not looking too hot. Alabama, if there's a game where Alabama can be beaten, this looks like it. Obviously you have the Iron Bowl at the end of the year, but Georgia looks like the cream of the crop of the East or the North or what is it?
They're in the East.
East, yeah. It's a big game for Alabama, and those players are going to be ready, and I just feel like their defense will play better, and Alabama's offense is damn near unstoppable. I'm not saying they're LSU's offense from last year, but they're Mac Jones?
Mac Jones is a real deal, man. That dude's
yeah. I feel like so my feelings on Alabama this year, Alabama, the team this year, reminds me of LSU last year, where their defense wasn't as strong traditionally, but their offense was off the charts. And as of right now, after this week, Alabama is the number 1 scoring offense in the country.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to go with Alabama as well. And I want to say I am more sold on Georgia, but I'm not sold on Georgia being the best team in the SEC. And I think with the pedigree of players at Alabama, like you said, Ryan, and can you name somebody on Georgia's offense right now that you could in the past?
No. You know who the running back is.
Yeah, exactly. And where in the past you'd be like, oh yeah, there's
Todd Gurley.
You had the Holyfield. Yeah, they had some great players. But this year I think they've gotten lucky in the draw that they've had. I still think they're a good football team. Like I said, I'm a little bit more sold on them than you are, Ross. But in this one, I got Bama and probably around like 2 touchdowns as well. If not 2 touchdowns, definitely 2 scores. A touchdown and a field goal. But it's probably going to be more than that.
By the way, side note, we did talk about like Mac Jones and being real deal, and he is real deal. Don't get me wrong. But Najee Harris, 23 carries, 206 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's a man. I there was a run that I saw this weekend where is one of those runs where who was a running back at LSU like 2 or 3 years ago?
Fournette.
Yeah, it was a Fournette type of like grown man. I'm 30 years old and been playing the NFL for 10 years. That type of run against kids, And Najee Harris has that girth. I don't know if this is the right word.
What's I never thought. I didn't think Najee. I know he's big.
he's a solid man.
Girth though. Like how girthy he is.
Are we talking? Are we talking P Ryan or what kind of? What are we talking here?
No, he's got Travis Henry written all over him. It's not the hair either. It's his running style and
Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry
or Travis Henry?
Yeah, Derrick Henry.
Not Travis. Not Travis. Derrick. Yeah.
I was like Travis Henry.
Travis Henry was quite a bit smaller than Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So that's our picks for the week.
Does that wrap it up for college football this week? I'm super pumped for Big Ten coming back. We're gonna start ramping into that the next couple weeks here.
2 weeks cannot come fast enough.
Yeah.
I'm
tired of hearing about recruiting. Like all I've been listening to is recruiting and the position battles and stuff like that. And I'm super excited to see Freiermuth this year. The tight end at Florida that.
He's good.
Yeah, he's a Pennsylvania boy too, and Penn State tried to recruit him. They already had 2 like top tight ends that they drafted in that class, and they wanted to bring him in as an athlete. Like that he's possibly the best tight end in the country, like so far. I mean, Freiermuth hasn't played yet, but I can't hold my excitement for Penn State this year. I'm really excited. Hey, no matter what happens, like I'm excited. Like even if we go out and lose to Indiana and Ohio State the first 2 weeks, because Indiana might be a tough game. Guys were talking about it in the podcast, and
straight up.
Indiana's got a big spread. Yeah.
Yeah, we love college football, but when it's your team, it's just that much better.
It does help. Yeah, and like that week, there's going to be like, I'm going to love it because it's going to make me picking the 6 games to pick the spread a lot easier. Because like, fuck, I was like, I got all the good ones of the big UCF Memphis guys. What you got?
That's going to be tough. Those first couple weeks, where like we said earlier, we don't know how these Big Ten. I have no idea how good Penn State's going to be. I have no idea how good Michigan's going to be, or Iowa, or like Indiana or Minnesota. Like any of these teams, like they might end up being really good, or they might end up being,
Oklahoma.
All we got for the Big Ten is we have an idea how good Ohio State should be.
We know
that doesn't necessarily mean, but
I'll keep fighting that one. I know exactly how good Ohio State's going to be. They're going to be a top 3 team all year long, and they're going to mark my words. They're going to be there, and I'd be super surprised if Ohio State, maybe Penn State can sneak a win in against them, but it's going to be hard to see another loss for that team. But you never know.
Yeah.
Like I could have said the same thing about Oklahoma.
State, I mean, not every year, but they have lost to a couple teams in the last 4 years or so that they should not have lost to.
Absolutely.
Right. I get that, for Purdue, Virginia Tech, Iowa, those are the 3 big ones, right? Mm-hmm. Virginia Tech, but it's early enough. I don't know.
Well, right. So again, that's kind of like, it was early enough, but I mean, this time, you guys are not just you guys, not just Ohio State, Penn State, because you guys, I think right now in the rankings, even though you haven't played, you're 9th.
Yeah.
But kind of the rust that we talked about with them, like you have you guys might be fantastic football teams, and I'm sure both you guys at the end of the day would be fine. If it was a 12-week season, I'd bet a lot of money that both you guys would win 10 games more. Yeah. But early in the season, who the hell knows?
I don't know.
Especially
who the fuck knows?
Especially Penn State with a new offensive coordinator. It might take 2 years for him to get rolling. Hopefully he steps in and he takes Clifford to that next level, and their offense looks better and their passing game looks way better. If that happens, then Penn State has nothing but, they could set the bar pretty high. If they come out and their offense is clicking right away,
and it's they could be. I think it's not only that. I think kind of like the big thing with me, and not the question mark, but just kind of, you never want to see anything happen. But like, obviously, Ohio State has probably the second best quarterback in college football behind Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
But I mean, with no practices or anything, not doing conditioning, say first week Justin Fields goes out and gets hurt.
Yeah.
Like the next guy in, I'm I know you guys recruit great. Like
they're both true freshmen.
Yeah, as a true freshman, then you're talking about who's never taken a snap, didn't really get real warm-up games or shit, and you're going to throw him in against Penn State. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's like you don't want to see anybody
a brand new running back. Offensive line's going to be good. We're good at wide receiver. It's the running back and lack of depth at quarterback. Well, lack of experience at backup quarterback.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, same with Penn State. I mean, you guys are supposed to be great, but without the conditioning, and that's what a lot of people are saying. Like these fourth quarter games now, like with Big 12 and everything, you don't have the conditioning come fourth quarter.
Game reps. You don't have game reps.
So like when you don't have the conditioning, that's when injuries happen. Yeah. And all it takes for Penn State or Ohio State is one tweaked ankle, and you're out 3 weeks, and shit, here we go.
Yeah.
We're in for it. So it's gonna be interesting.
So moving on. We're good. We're good on college football. I don't have much else to talk about, but we're right there. Yeah. So moving on. Baseball. Ryan, yes, I do have some baseball talk.
Okay, good. I need to go get a drink. I'll be right
back. Russ, how about them Yankees?
Well, they smacked your Cleveland Indians pretty bad.
No. That's not what I was asking.
They took the Tampa Bay Rays to the 8th inning of Game 5. Yeah, it was a fantastic game. I mean, that night was great for me because I was between Game 5 of the ALDS and then Georgia Tech was playing football. on Friday Night Football, and then Game 5 of the NBA Finals was on at the same time. So I was kind of like doing the tripod of going back and forth of all the games. But I didn't see a lot of the game. They played great. I
was digging into the numbers. I was digging into the numbers, and I was thinking to myself, if those bats could carry them, if they stay hot, they could carry them to the World Series. However, they did run into the Tampa Bay Rays starting pitching, which is nasty.
Well, but against their two main starters, the Yankees put up pretty damn good numbers.
That was going to be my next thing. Is they were still putting up pretty good numbers. I think it just came down to which team would be able to generate runs at any level within their lineup. New York didn't really have New York. You guys are assholes. New York didn't really have the run generation, the hit generation in the bottom half of their lineup. Tampa Bay, I could see in the games that they won, they were generating hits and generating runs, and were doing well top to bottom. Also, defensively, for the amount of chances that Tampa Bay has, they are just not in the postseason. They're just not making errors.
Right.
They're playing pitching well enough to be able to keep the runs down, generating hits, hitting in those positions, generating runs in those opportunities, and not making errors. But
Tampa Bay beat the Yankees. Catch me up on here.
So it went to Game 5. It was 1-1 going into the 8th of Game 5. Rays hit a solo home run and then shut the Yankees down at the top of the 9th to win 2-1. I mean, it was a fantastic game.
Yeah, I saw the game before that. Stanton had the slammy in the 8th inning or something.
Before the Yankees put up 8 or 9 runs and just smacked.
Yeah. But Tampa Bay's already up 2-0 on Houston.
They're up 2-0. That's what I was going to bring up next. Was there were I think the two best hitting teams in the American League postseason were, number 1 was the Yankees, number 2 is Houston, and right now Tampa Bay is up 2-0 on Houston right now. And I saw a great pie chart. It was a pie chart. It was it was orange and then like a little sliver of blue, and it was number of actual Rays fans rooting for the Rays, and then the rest of the pie chart was everybody else who wants to see Houston lose.
Oh yeah, that's me. That's me, especially me, because I don't watch much baseball, but I have been a Dodgers fan my whole life, and the past couple of years I haven't been watching much baseball, but before then, when Dodgers were in the World Series and playing against Houston, I followed that pretty extensively. And I'm on board. I'm a Tampa Bay fan through and through this year.
Yeah. But Jimmy, and I get what you're saying about like the Houston Astros, and I mean, to me, granted, the Yankees got stifled at the end, but it's not even comparable. Like postseason offense, Yankees to Houston. Yankees went against Cleveland, who has fantastic pitching. And the Tampa Bay Rays, who has fantastic pitching. Houston went against the Twins and Athletics.
Twins pitching this year wasn't as good, but still
that wasn't that great. Oakland had decent pitching, but like the pitching that the Yankees went against compared to Houston, if the Yankees would have played the Twins and the Athletics, they would be in the ALCS.
I agree.
They just had to go against Cleveland and a brutal Tampa Bay team.
I agree.
And on the other side, I mean, Atlanta, and that's gonna be a fantastic series. It's right down the top.
Very excited.
I'm watching it.
I'm very excited for that series. It just started today, and I'm sitting here talking to you, Bobos. But here we are.
I've got it on my TV right now.
My prediction is that the World Series champion will be from the National League. It's whoever wins this one, because Tampa Bay, they're consistent, but they don't have what Atlanta and the Dodgers have in terms of offense, and then LA and Atlanta are also pitching lights out.
Yes, they are.
So I think it's going to be a National League team, whether it's Atlanta or LA. I'd like LA to win. I got nothing against Atlanta because there's a lot of players on the Braves that I really like. Your boy.
Yeah, I'll probably pull for the Braves just because I really love Acuna.
I want Kershaw to get his. I love Clay Kershaw. He's one of my favorite pitchers of the past 10 years. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's such a good dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I root for good people. I always root for good people. That's why I root against.
He's a Dallas guy too, so I always root for the. My
you say that, Jimmy? Did you root for Tim Tebow in college? He was a good dude.
No, of course not.
See, that's what I thought.
But when he got to the pros, did I root for him? Yeah, it's a good dude.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So you guys done with baseball?
Yeah, baseball.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Interesting, but Yankees are gone. That was one of my World Series teams. Atlanta was my other one, and I mean, we'll see what's happened. They're playing in Game 1. They're playing Dodgers toe to toe. So
yep,
I love it.
We're gonna see. Now, Ryan, did you get your tissues? Do you need to stop to go get your tissues?
Got my tissues ready.
He did go, but for those who don't know, he did walk away while we were talking baseball so he could get a drink because I think you want to pour one out there for your boy Dak.
Yeah.
I've
been doing it daily.
NFL talk. Big news, obviously, was Dak Prescott. One of the nastier ankle injuries I've seen in a while.
Yep.
I saw today after the surgery, they're looking 4 to 6 months. He's out.
That sucks.
Well, I mean,
sucks.
He's going to be
because I like Dak.
So I'll jump right into it. So it sucks. It was one of the harder things for me to watch. I think the injury was hard to watch, but for me, the harder thing to watch was him getting carted off and seeing tears in his eyes and seeing all his teammates come over and pat him on the helmet and just the emotion that was in that stadium at that point, and it was hard to see, especially having a career year. I know we talked about it before the podcast. It does remind me of Carson Wentz going down. Carson Wentz was on a Pro Bowl level year. Dak Prescott, I'm not saying he was leading Carson Wentz was on an MVP level year. Well, he's in a discussion, but the wins haven't been coming, but he has been putting up numbers.
Numbers were insane.
He's been nothing but proving that he's worth the money. And I know we've kind of discussed it a little bit. Maybe he's not worth the 40. In my opinion, he is. I think he is one of the best leaders in the NFL, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, he has all the intangibles. He's the guy that you want leading your team. So if Dallas doesn't pay him, it's a travesty, but
somebody will. If Dallas doesn't, if Dallas can, they will.
4 to 6 months, he'll be back next year.
Back next year.
I think ankle injuries are not as ACLs take time to.
Yeah.
Minus Adrian Peterson, who came back stronger than ever, like
freak of nature.
Right. ACL injuries are kind of iffy. It's like, is the guy going to come back? Is he going to come back as healthy? Is he going to come back with the same push
the lateral
that he had
movements?
before?
Yeah, you don't have. Yeah, you're not generating power from your ankles. That's coming from your knees and your hips.
I see Dak coming back just as strong. I see him fighting through. Like, if there's any guy in the NFL that can come back from this stuff, it's Dak Prescott. He's got the work ethic. He's got all that stuff.
I root for him too. I like that. Good dude.
If you were going to have this happen and your quarterback was going to go down, I don't think there's another backup quarterback that I'd rather have than Andy Dalton.
I'm going to have to look at the backups. I'm not going to argue that, but I have to look at the backups. But
Andy Dalton
coming into this year, I always thought Andy Dalton was probably the best backup quarterback in the league, next to Nick Foles, who's now a starter.
Technically, Justin Herbert's a backup because.
That's true, but we had no idea how good he was. Like that's
great.
We know how good Andy Dalton is. Yeah, he's not a Hall of Famer, but he was in the dumpster fire of Cincinnati for a long time, and he took that team to the playoffs, and he carried that team. Right, but still, he in a tough division, he's fought the battles, he's gone through it. I'm not a giant Andy Dalton fan just because he's a ginger, but I think that
helps. But it helps.
It does help, but. He's a capable backup, and he's got a shit ton of weapons. Offensive line is banged up. They got to be able to protect him and all that stuff. But he's got a lot of weapons, and I don't want to see my team tank. It's like, now that Dak's out, do I think we can win a Super Bowl? Probably not.
Well, you honestly didn't think that Dallas could win a Super Bowl even before Dak got hurt.
I say even with Dak, you'd be hard pressed to get me to say with that defense.
With that defense, and the defense is banged up as well, like I'm not gonna. It's hard for me to take the Carson Wentz conversation and say, well, Nick Foles came in and did it for Philadelphia, but Philadelphia had a solid defense, a good offense,
decent weapons, good running game.
I just know that Cowboys still have a chance. They still have weapons. They still have a high-powered passing offense. I said this.
Job done.
he could go out there and get the job done. And what this might change is I'd rather see a Dak Prescott that throws the ball 20 times a game and has 200 yards and 1 or 2 touchdowns every game and is not lighting up the record books and not doing all that stuff if we're getting wins. If Zeke's getting the ball 30 times a game or 25 times a game. And
so yeah, they haven't really been feeding Zeke very much.
Well, so that's a very interesting point. So in the afternoon, because I work from home now, I watched the Jacoby and Jalen in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And granted, it's Jalen, who's a basketball player, Jalen Rose. But his hot take lately has been that the Cowboys need to trade Ezekiel Elliott. He's like, they have built that offense around Dak getting wide receiver. He's like, they don't need a running back that is as good as Zeke and it costs as much as Zeke. They need an inexpensive one that can get the job done and go buy a defense.
Yeah, so I'm close to agreeing with that. Like, I don't think that's too far fetched. I've argued with when the Cowboys paid Amari and when they paid Zeke, I somewhat questioned those decisions. Like
DeMarcus Lawrence.
DeMarcus Lawrence was a big head scratcher for me. I'm a big Cowboys fan. I follow their stats. I argue with my little sister about this stuff because she's a huge DeMarcus Lawrence fan. And when we let Byron Jones go, she was pissed off. And it's like, it's hard. Byron Jones ended up being the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. And it's like, you can't pay those guys. I think Byron Jones ended up getting fired he was a safety when he came in the league as a free safety. And then he transitioned to cornerback and ended up being really good. But DeMarcus Lawrence, like,
you can't pay everybody what they want.
You can't pay everybody.
You can't.
But the one guy you should pay is your quarterback, who is the leader of the team. And I'm not saying Zeke's or dime a dozen. Zeke is a rare talent, and he can do everything right, and he's a bell cow, and he's healthy, and he's durable, and he's all these things. But you can get those. You can get somebody that's 70% of that every single draft. You know what I mean?
Right. And so I guess my kind of thing with Dak is, personally, do I think he's worth $40 million? No. But 30 to 35 million, okay, with his age, I'm fine with that. And I would be all for the Cowboys playing that if they paid him first. And got that one out of the way, then they could negotiate Zeke and Amari and all this stuff, but you didn't. You paid all these other people first. Now you don't have a lot of money, and if you pay Zeke that, you're screwed for your defense.
Yeah, nothing against Amari Cooper. I think he's awesome, and I think he came in and helped Dak a lot, but now Dak has 3 Amari Coopers. Like,
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb is unbelievable.
Galloway, right?
Yeah, Michael Gallup. So Michael Gallup, he won.
They took Cooper out. You just had those two. That's a great receiving core.
That's one of the best receiving cores in the NFL. Like Michael Gallup did. He won that game single-handedly. He made 2 unbelievable catches on the sidelines, and I mean, Andy Dalton made the throws and he put him in the right places. But like, I just don't understand. You pay Amari, which I was on the fence about. I'm like, hey, he did a great job. He came in. He proved that he was a number 1 wide receiver. Let him go make his money somewhere else. Save your money. Pay Dak, and move on and like build an offense around that. And it's like Jalen's not too far off, I don't think.
Yeah, because you guys you have a good enough wide receiver core offense, obviously, and Dak when he's in is a great quarterback.
Right.
Say if you guys went thinking about say if you guys went and drafted Chuba Hubbard. Yeah. Got rid of Zeke and drafted Chuba Hubbard or Travis Etienne. Because running backs don't go high that. So
right. Yeah. What's the drop off? Like, I
think he could get the job well enough and then take the shit ton of money you're going to pay Zeke and go buy some cornerbacks and some linebackers that can stay healthy for the love of God.
Yeah. And, yeah. I mean, like we said that last year, Tony Pollard at points in the season looked better than Zeke did. And it's like you have a backup.
Yeah. I watch him, and every time I watch highlights, I see it's not like the Zeke show. It was Dak, obviously, mostly, but in terms of running back, it wasn't just Zeke. Tony Pollard.
Yeah. Tony Pollard averaged 5.3 yards a carry last year.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's coming in good situations. It benefits him, but I mean, if you have 2 guys there, and I hate to say it, it's like Saquon. I love Saquon, and he's my favorite college football player of all time, and he's an awesome dude. But can you get 2 guys for half the price of Saquon? Like when Saquon hits his 4th year or whatever? Yeah, whenever he gets his contract year. Yeah, he's going to be, and he's worth that money. He's a great running back. I mean, let's look at Le'Veon Bell. Like, Le'Veon Bell at the Steelers was great. Jimmy knows this. He was great.
Yep.
And obviously, he's had some issues signing contracts and finding the right team and all that stuff. But is that
big one was
like
issues? Well, it was injuries.
But is
he
that
got injured a lot?
Is that running back that big of a deal? Like,
that was the argument with Zeke and Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell was like, "Yeah, I'm worth all this money. I'm willing to sit out," but completely overlooking the fact that he had one of the better offensive lines in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah. And a Hall of Fame quarterback. And yeah.
I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. Jimmy, you've heard me say this not a lot of times when it comes to NFL. Running backs are a dime a dozen. Do not pay them what you want. You can they come and go. Like, I think it was
especially
last
the NFL right now. The NFL is a quarterback-driven league right now.
Yeah, I looked it up last year, and then I think it's if you take the top 15 leader or top 10 leaders in rushing yards last year, 7 of them were in their first or second year.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Zeke was up there, and I think it was like Gurley and Derrick Henry. But I mean, all the other ones were first, second year running backs that they're still in the rookie contract, so you could pay.
Yeah, who was Kansas City's running back last year?
OU's old running back that got kicked off the team. He had like 100 yards. Like,
who was the Patriots running back last year?
Sony Michel. They had like a 3-headed monster thing.
Right. So
Sony Michel.
We could go probably down the top 6 teams in the NFL last year that finished like top 6 playoff teams, whatever.
Right. I have a hard time naming their starting running backs.
Derrick Henry at the top of my head. But
San Francisco's running back, the undrafted Moisture.
Mostert. Yeah. It's
like we just said his last name 3 different ways, and we're probably right on all of them.
But I mean, and looking at it, I mean, again, I'm not saying Zeke's a bad running back, but you give him a 6-year, $90 million contract.
So here's my conspiracy. Here's Jerry Jones, right? Here's Jerry Jones. When was Jerry Jones on top of the world? It was when he had Emmett, Troy, and Michael, right?
Right.
He wants that top 3 again. He wants to pay those top 3, and I mean, he hasn't paid Dak yet, but he wants that number 1 wide receiver, that number 1 running back, and that number 1 quarterback. And the game has changed. The game has changed. You can't do that anymore.
That's all well and good, but those 3, don't get me wrong, the 90s Cowboys were great, but they weren't going against offenses like the Cowboys are going against now. Like, these offenses are stupid.
Yeah, with borderline backup running backs playing the running back position. Right.
Right.
Like so I agree with you. The more we talk about it, it's like, okay, why did we pay him? What, it's like, maybe
it's nothing against Zeke. Zeke's a great back. It's just you have enough weapons on offense that you could downgrade from Zeke and still have a fantastic offense. Like, there are some teams that could.
Yep. You're going to see
100% pay him the money. Dallas has got enough weapons besides him. Downgrade, pay the defense, and you guys are right there at the cusp of like Super Bowl. Here we go.
Right. Yeah.
I think over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see a lot of these quote unquote big name running backs asking for big time money. Teams are going to be like, no, we're good. We're going to move on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like right now,
they'll get paid. It's just by a different team.
I mean, looking at this year, and granted we're 4 years in on the rushing leaders, Dalvin Cook, he's been in the league a little bit.
I thought he had a pretty serious injury yesterday, but it looked like he completely tore his hamstring. Then went to the locker room, came back, and was fine. It's kind of weird.
Number 2 is Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, for LA or Las Vegas.
Second year. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, his rookie year, he's number 9.
Yep.
I mean, you can go on and on down the list.
And it's not like we don't have
Miles Sanders is now the bell cow in Philadelphia, and he's doing great. And I'm sure when his contract comes up, they're not going to give him. They'll let him move on, or they'll do whatever.
It's not like there aren't good running backs coming into the league next year.
No,
Etienne, Chuba Hubbard, and Najee Harris. Those are the top 3 I could think of.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some very, very good running backs coming in next year. That I think this would be one of the better running back classes coming in for in a while.
And this last one was still really good.
Yes, they were. I think this one's going to be really, really good.
I agree.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We can move off the Cowboys. I mean, hey, the Cowboys did get the win, and hey, Andy Dalton came in and did everything that was asked for him, and was able to
way to beat those Giants.
Hey, they beat. Hey, he had to come in and put a game-winning drive together, and he looked good. And I think, what did he end up? He ended up like 8 for 10,
100 yards.
Yeah, 100 yards. Yeah, it's
Andy Dalton played great. I'm not knocking the Cowboys as a whole. Like, way to sneak by those Giants.
Right.
Man.
Kudos to Andy Dalton for coming in.
I did want to bring up, and I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on the whole. And we talked about it a little bit last week, but considering what we saw this week out of Washington, the whole Dwayne Haskins issue, and I don't know if you saw any of the quote unquote reports.
Yeah, I saw them,
close to the team. Yep. Did you hear any of that by chance?
I didn't.
So I did. I heard he was in the locker room after the game against who'd they play? The
Baltimore.
Yeah, after the game against Baltimore, and was talking about how he got his and how his stats looked good, and the rest of the team needs to step up. And I think and then the other talk was that he his work ethic was not up to standards for Ron Rivera. As an Ohio State fan, and seeing his come up to be the starting quarterback, I think most of that is probably maybe not 100%, but I think it's about 90% to 85% bull. Because that guy is bull crap. Yeah. I honestly think that Ron Rivera did not want Dwayne Haskins, but he was already the starter going into the end of last year. I don't know if it's because Ryan, you said it. Ron Rivera probably came in and like, I can't win with that guy. Not necessarily because he didn't meet him, but because he doesn't like his play. Right. And I honestly think they, at this point, considering that they can read the writing on the wall, that they're probably got a shot at getting Trevor Lawrence, who is possibly the next Peyton Manning. Right. And we did see this last year, and I don't want to make too much out of nothing, but I did see Dwayne Haskins yelling at offensive linemen saying, "You guys, I'm doing my job. You guys aren't doing your job." That type of mentality, which is not a very good mentality to have.
You say that, but Tom Brady was doing the exact same thing the other day.
Yeah, but that's Tom Brady.
That's Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time.
No, I understand, but if it's not outside the realm of possibility for a quarterback to say, "Hey, you guys got to get, trying to be a leader," and if the team is not buying to him as a leader, then I can understand why. But in terms of his play, there was nothing about his play that said you are going to be the third string quarterback now.
Yeah, I think
I can't say, knowing and having seen how hard he works while at Ohio State, his reputation coming in and while at Ohio State was that he was constantly learning, constantly working. He was always in Ryan Day's ear.
Here's a big difference.
The question I have about that real quick though, Jim, is, and I'm not saying that about the constantly learning and all that stuff, but my argument, I guess, my thing, before the combine, right? Before you started training for the combine, his body was not exactly NFL ready.
Yeah.
Well, he never really had that NFL ready body.
But after the draft,
they talked about it.
After the draft or after the combine, they showed pictures of him right before the draft, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like he cut some weight, like he looks good. Or maybe it was this offseason. I don't know which one, but I mean,
it was this most recent offseason. It was
So like as for the learning and that, all that's great, but how hard did he really work in the weight room?
Yep.
I don't know. He was.
I
didn't think he was playing bad. I don't know.
Here's one thing. There's a big difference from playing at the best college football team in the country. And your mentality there and work ethic is really solid, and that's all great when everything's going well.
No. That's not him saying my work ethic is better, second to none.
Right.
That's other coaches.
Right.
That is Ohio State coaches saying that.
Right. And all I'm saying is the grass is a lot greener when you're on a team that's winning and can't be beaten, and you go and win a national championship. I'm sure your mentality is a lot different than when you go to the Washington Redskins, who are possibly the worst team in the NFL. And you start losing, and then you start calling out team players in locker rooms. You're caught on the field calling out your offensive line.
Yeah, we are talking about the Washington football team, formerly the Redskins, which is a garbage ran organization, which is true.
So
both things could be true.
I've never seen this. I've never seen a top draft pick get benched to third string overnight. There is something that happened.
Right. That's what I'm kind of thinking, Brian. Like, and I'm not saying that one side's right, one side's wrong, but I think the answer's in the middle.
Right.
I think Ron Rivera probably was not truly happy with Haskins and just who he is to fit his system, but I don't think that Haskins didn't fuel the flame.
Oh, I'm sure that the reports kind of point to that.
And right now, it says that Haskins actually has a fairly toxic relationship with the entire Washington football team organization, not just them.
I think that's probably true. Like,
I would agree with that. Yeah, considering how Dan Snyder and Dan Snyder has been at odds with his head coach, I think, since he's owned the team. And I think Haskins was a Dan Snyder pick.
Okay. Sure, maybe. He's not a Ron Rivera guy. We all know Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera is a no bullshit, get to work. This is my team. We're coming to get the job done. Every man has a job. You do your job and all that stuff, right? Like, that's Ron Rivera, and that's why we love Ron Rivera. That's why Ron Rivera's been in the league for so long, right?
Say his name one more time.
Right, Ron Rivera.
Ron Rivera like 10 times.
Like, I think we know what he is, and maybe I don't want to like write Dwayne Haskins off, because like 2 weeks ago I was like, hey, he might be the guy. He might be good. Like, we'll see. Like, we'll give him a year. We'll give him 2 years.
I don't want to write him off. Just most of the time when this happens to young quarterbacks, it doesn't bode well.
No, it does not.
In the future.
No, it does not.
I don't want to write him off, but I'm kind of like,
yeah. So
I'd like to see his career going.
Moving on.
I wish him the best. Obviously, I want an Ohio State quarterback to do well in the league, but
I will say this though.
He's not getting a good start.
Before we move on, I will say this: that no offense to Dwayne Haskins, and with Ron Rivera, and I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and what's being said, but no offense to Dwayne Haskins, Ron Rivera's earned his.
That's true.
He's earned his. Like, you need to shut up and color when it comes to Ron Rivera. I don't care if you're the number one quarterback for Ohio State. I don't care if you're a top 10 draft pick, our number one.
That far of a drop. For sure, that far of a drop. It's a decision that was made. It felt like, especially with the way he was playing, he wasn't playing great. He wasn't playing bad. But he wasn't losing games.
He has no offense or no weapons in his defense.
He has True.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin is their best wide receiver.
Right.
And I think he was a 3rd round pick. And by the way, Terry McLaurin might be really good. But that's besides the point. He was not playing so bad to the point that all of a sudden he's 3rd string. That was a discipline move.
That was a discipline move. That was a mentality move. It's like I'm trying to rebuild this organization from the ground up, and you're not if you're not buying in, you're gone. That was that type of move. Like,
I would like to hear more about, or try to find more stories besides the Ron Rivera Haskins thing. But if those rumors are true about him after the Baltimore game saying, well, I got mine.
Yeah.
If that's true, that's a huge red flag of bro. Like, come on now, you've got to stop that.
Yeah. That's, I don't know. I've like I said, gigantic Ohio State fan, listen to Ohio State podcasts pretty much every day, and anything out of, and to be fair, coaches lie.
They're not going to say, he's trash.
Yeah, they're not going to say he's trash, but the Urban Meyer is not going to, well, I don't know. That's hard. Urban Meyer at Ohio State.
He's going to stick up for his guys.
He's going to stick up for his guys, that's for sure. But Ryan Day, I don't know. It's hard.
I think
never heard anything about that, him talking like that until, just like this week.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's an oddity to me.
So what else do we have in the NFL? So we had the Chiefs losing.
Chiefs lost.
Good old Chucky beat the Chiefs.
They've been talking about it that after the Raiders, they might have kind of found like this blueprint on
how to beat the Chiefs.
Didn't we see it a couple weeks ago when the Chargers played them? Like, the Chargers held them to.
Yeah.
It was early, but like, and I think I said it at the time. It's like, well, maybe they just had a bad week, or maybe they found something out. And you're playing you're playing two divisional teams, and those they see Mahomes more than anybody else, and maybe they have figured something out. And it's hard to figure that guy out because there's one guy in the NFL, there's one quarterback in the NFL to try to figure out, like, he's the hardest, right? Mahomes is whatever he does, whatever you do to him, he's got an answer for, right? So
yeah, he's one of those guys where he's not a
one-dimensional, right? He's one-dimensional. He's every dimensional, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
like
maybe
Russell Wilson.
I honestly think this is coming off of a week where Derek Carr is saying, I'm tired of losing. This is sad. I hate this. And then the next week they go out and beat the defending world champions. And it's like, I honestly think that the Raiders are a better team than what people think. Like, they've got weapons, and Gruden is, he's such a great coach. Like, I think Gruden
got the money he did.
I love John Gruden.
Right.
Because he's a great coach.
Yeah, he's a great coach. And I mean,
from Ohio,
taking it back 20 years, when he left Oakland and then went to Tampa Bay, I mean, he left Oakland and I forget that trade. I forget the numbers on that trade, but Tampa Bay traded half their team for Gruden. You know what I mean? They traded. Yeah. There's a reason he did
with him.
Yeah, and then he goes there and wins a Super Bowl in
against
2 years.
That was great.
Yeah, that was great. But Gruden's an amazing coach. He's that type of coach that demands respect, and if you don't buy in, you're gone. And that's
the other thing too. He demands respect, but he's a player's coach.
Oh yeah, they love him.
They love him.
Yeah, I love seeing his celebrations in the locker room. That is some entertaining stuff.
What's his favorite place? Spider Y2 Banana.
Yeah. So he's great. So actually, I enjoyed watching the Chiefs lose. I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's great, but it was fun to see them lose. It was fun to see them struggle, and
it's parody. Parody in the NFL that I love.
By the way, Jimmy, I was a giant Pittsburgh Steelers fan this week. Thank God they went out and beat the Battle of the Keystone State, and they took it to the Eagles, and I'm glad they got that win.
Chase Claypool 4.
Yeah, there was a coming out party for that guy. I remember week 2, he made a good catch down the sidelines and scored a long touchdown. I was like, okay, he caught a pass wide open. I don't know if the defensive back fell down or whatever, but he got behind a guy. Yeah, he got behind a guy, he made a catch. I'm like, okay, let's not crown him the next great Pittsburgh wide receiver.
Yeah.
But this week I'm crowning him the best Pittsburgh, one of the best, the new Pittsburgh, top level wide receiver, the new Antonio Brown, the new Hines Ward, the new guy that shot his
4 touchdown against
that guy.
Against Darius Slay, who's one of the better defensive backs. And
by the way, the guy I work with is cousins of Darius Slay. So he was a Detroit Lions fan last year, and overnight 2 years ago, he's a Detroit Lions fan. Overnight, he went to be a Eagles fan. So me and him don't talk anymore. So,
that's cool. That's actually pretty
cool. Tom Brady losing to Nick Foles, that was pretty interesting. I didn't get to catch the 4th down play. I know there's some controversy, not really controversy on it, but
there's no controversy. Tom Brady fucked up.
Yeah, and
he.
Oh yeah, that's right. He lost track of the down or something.
And instead of going for the first down, he threw it short, stopped short, and then turnover on downs, and people are walking off the field, and Tom Brady's literally looking at their ref confused, going, "Isn't it 4th down?"
Oh wow, yeah.
He's told them before, going, "Isn't it 4th?" They're like, "No."
I mean, hey,
4th down.
We're some old dudes. We all know that sometimes your memory is the first thing to go. Okay, So
well, and I'll tell you this: if that's the worst
Andy's been getting in his career, professional football.
Well, if that's the worst thing he does in his career,
he's fine.
That's okay.
He's still the greatest of all time.
Hey, Tampa Bay's still well in the playoff picture. It doesn't. This game, not saying this game doesn't matter, but
if his one blunders in the 4th quarter of week 5 of his 18th year, okay.
Against your kryptonite, by the way, Nick Foles beat him again. So
large Richard Nicholas.
Yeah.
Huge phallus Nick.
So what else happened? What else happened in the NFL this week?
Cleveland is 4-1.
Oh, hey, yeah. So what did we say? I think we got to go back and listen.
The Colts are not that bad.
No, they're not that bad. And they're riddled with injuries too. It's surprised that the Colts are that good, but what is Baker do? I mean, last week against the Cowboys, I actually don't know his stats from last week. I know they ran the ball like crazy and just Cowboys couldn't stop it.
Last week, not as much as they have in the past. They lost Nick Chubb for
I've got the stats
4 or 5 weeks.
Give me a second.
Yeah, but
last
since
week
we talked about Baker.
Yeah, last week against the Cowboys, I mean, he was 16 for 30 for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Right. So not blowing it out of the water. Yeah, you had to throw it a bunch, but
you had to throw it more.
Cleveland ran for 307 yards.
Yeah. So
Ryan,
what did we say?
307 yards against the Cowboys.
Yeah, let's move on. Anyhow, so what did we say week 2? Like we were like, hey, Baker needs to stop doing Baker things, hand the ball off to his running backs, run the offense.
First off, hand the ball off to your running back. That's the offensive coordinator's job to call that play, not Baker.
Correct.
Right.
They're not running spread option plays.
Right.
Too wide banana.
Raider white too banana.
But no, yeah, like Baker, like don't get me wrong, I obviously OU fan. But
you are? What?
Shocker. But I think Baker can be a very, very, very good starter in the NFL as a game manager. He's not to throw the ball for 400, 500 yards.
No. He can make that flashy play. We all know that he can do that. We all know, like, maybe in the fourth quarter, if you're down by a touchdown, he makes an unbelievable throw down the sidelines and all that stuff. Like, we know Baker can make that play.
Right.
But don't force that play in the first quarter, across the field into double coverage. Like, don't do that.
I noticed. I will
say this week, though, by the way, super excited. Pittsburgh versus Cleveland.
Yeah, that's going to be
a good game. That's a good game.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, because Pittsburgh's defense
Pittsburgh's run defense is very good. Their pass defense is not as good as it was.
T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree are unbelievable. I think
T.J.
those
Watt,
guys.
Bud Dupree, and Cam Hayward.
Yeah, I just
still
think
got Stephon Tuitt right in the middle.
Yep, I think those guys they're game changers and they can make plays on any play and they're
Vince
great.
Williams.
But like
Vince Williams still middle linebacker.
Back to Baker, he's doing what. I think he had a kind of wake-up call the first week against Baltimore, and he tried to do too much week 2 maybe. They got to win, but, like, he's settled in. He's like, okay, this is what our offense is.
I noticed a difference compared to last season from this season. When he has a bunch of time, he was immediately looking for OBJ deep or Landry deep.
Yeah.
And he was usually forcing it and causing a lot of interceptions, right? I watched the game this week and highlights, and he had a bunch of time. Their offensive line is very good, by the way.
Yeah.
When he had a lot of time, you could see him raring up to try and go deep, but then he would throw the easy one.
Now it's Austin Hooper. Now it's Austin Hooper and Higgins and the unsung heroes for Cleveland. Those guys that he can get the ball to, like.
Well, and like thinking of and that's just who Baker is. Like if you look back to his second year when Ohio State played Oklahoma in Norman, the game we went to, that Ohio State won. Like Lincoln came out after the game and said he's looking for the big shot too much. Like he's trying to go deep. He's trying to go deep. He's not checking down. And then he started checking down, and OU went on a tear. The next year, Baker slowed it down, let his wide receivers do the job, and he wins the Heisman.
By the way, who was his backfield back then? That was P. Ryan and Mixon, right?
Joe Mixon and P. Ryan, yeah.
What's that like? That's a star-studded backfield at OU. I mean, those are 2 pro running backs. You know what I mean? And like
they were fantastic.
So yeah, and how did Baker do when he had 2 really good running backs? He did very well. He was able to hand the ball off. He was able to
and that's the fun,
keep the defense honest.
And it's not trying to make about OU, but I remember, Jimmy, if you remember, I talked about that. Like after OU lost to Houston and Ohio State that year with Baker, they revamped the offense and they started giving it to Mixon and P. Ryan and letting them running the ball for 300 yards a game and like let Baker like step in, and he tore it up. And this year with Cleveland, he's doing the same thing. He's got Kareem Hunt. Granted, Chubb's out, but still got a very good running back. They're starting to give the ball to OBJ running, which I love. Give that dude the ball and let him do something.
Yeah,
I think that's a great call. And they're running like no offense to the Cowboys, but yeah, you ran 300 yards in an NFL game rushing is very rare.
It should never happen. I mean, let's be honest, that should never happen.
Right. So I think the way that Cleveland's built right now around Baker is great for him. I think it's great. So, but
I agree.
Talking about it. So this week, I don't watch NFL except it's on the background. But Cleveland, Pittsburgh, fantastic game. Green Bay, Tampa Bay should be a really good one. Kansas City at Buffalo.
Ooh,
Buffalo
that's tough.
is good.
Yeah,
I think Buffalo is very good. That's the best thing.
I am going to be watching the Monday Night Football game with your Cowboys and rooting for you guys to die like a dog because my boy Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals are coming into town.
Me and Bryce got a bet on that one.
I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some good games this week.
Yeah. The Kansas City Buffalo one, I would not be surprised if Kansas City goes in there and just
thumps them.
There's something sticking to my head. The two teams that have played Kansas City well this year, and I go back to that, are division rivals that they play them 2 times a year, and they know Patrick Mahomes and all that stuff. When's the last time Buffalo and Kansas City played?
What is Buffalo's record against the teams they've played? What are the teams they played record? Are they good?
Hold on, I'll tell you. They have played the Jets, the Dolphins, the Rams, and the Raiders.
I think the Dolphins are maybe 500. Raiders are 500. Rams look good.
Yeah, Rams look pretty good. Their only losses to the Bills. Jets are trash.
Jets are hot garbage.
Yeah, they're. If we want to talk about the worst team in the NFL, that's by far that.
Sorry, your Dodgers going down, Ryan.
Well, that sucks.
What's the score?
It was 1-1 going into the 9th, and the Braves have put up 4 runs to make it 5-1 in the top of the 9th.
Nice. Hey,
they got bats too.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think so. The thing, looking at the Bills, Allen is playing his ass off.
Yeah.
His stats are almost identical. They're almost identical to Patrick Mahomes. Like Mahomes is throwing for 100 more yards and 1 more touchdown on 50 more attempts. So it's pretty much even. But Buffalo has zero run game. Like they're bad.
By the way, Buffalo plays tomorrow. I was totally confused. I look at Buffalo's schedule and I'm like, wait,
their game was postponed
missing a game?
COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they play Tennessee tomorrow night.
Okay, then
that should be good.
Okay,
that changes things.
Buffalo's got to play tomorrow night and then go play Kansas City on 6 days.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All day.
Yeah,
give me Kansas City all day. See do they have the spread out on that game?
I don't see it.
I'm not picking it because I'm terrible at it.
So we could talk about San Francisco. Actually going to meet a good buddy of mine tomorrow. He's a huge San Francisco fan.
No good buddies outside this podcast. Quit saying that.
That is true.
We are the best buddies.
Yeah. So I've knocked Garoppolo in the past, and I said that he was overrated. I can't believe that they paid him that money in San Francisco. And
guess what?
I mean, he took his team to the Super Bowl, so you can't really knock him too much. Well, he was on a team that went to the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yes. Better.
But he looked. I mean, he had possibly the worst quarterback. He had a 15 QBR. Is it QBR? What's the hell's the difference? A QBR and
QBR.
So he had a 15. A 50 is benchable. You're awful if you're at 50. If you're at
7.
Yeah, and if you're at 80, you're mediocre. If you're at 100, you're doing your job. 15 is unbelievly bad.
Well, correction, 100 is doing your job in college. Looking at the stats in the NFL, 85 to 95 is
right. True. Okay.
Legit.
Yeah. You're doing well.
He had 15.7, not 50, 15.7.
And him. So
that's how many millions of dollars he's getting paid a year.
High ankle sprains. By the way, I'm no doctor, but I know high ankle sprains are tough to come back from.
Yes. Those are tough.
So him coming back after, was it 2 or 3 weeks, or was it 3 or 4 weeks? I don't know. But him coming back from that, maybe he came back too early. Maybe he couldn't put oomph on the ball.
I don't know. It's hard to say because that team, it is an anomaly that they were winning over the past couple of weeks, that he was out, and with their defense they are riddled with injuries.
Yeah.
And it was an anomaly that they were winning because not only are they missing defense, they're missing running backs too. What?
Jimmy, it's not an anomaly. They played the Jets and they played the Giants.
No, I'm saying it was an anomaly that they won so well.
Well, as I say, they played the Jets and the Giants. I'm pretty sure my high school team could go out and beat the Jets and Giants.
So, to Jimmy's point,
put money on that.
going out around the NFL. that MetLife Stadium there's something wrong with that field, and I know teams have like complained about that field. So San Francisco having to go out there, play the Jets one week and then the Giants the next week, like on a field that is questionable and people are tearing their ACLs. Like Barkley did his, Bosa did his on that field. Like there's some issues on that field, but yeah, I think San Francisco is just bad at this point. I think teams have realized like, well, hey, if we stack the box and if we don't let you. Speaking of a team that runs for 300 yards a game, that's a team, you know. And if
that San Francisco was a team that was built around the run, and then their
looking
defense
at
as well.
The Giants game though, they played Nick Mullins out of Mississippi State.
Yeah. So by the way, he must be hurt because he didn't play he didn't.
So, but like that game against the Giants, granted it's the Giants, but he threw for 350 yards and a touchdown. They ran the ball 35 times for only 2.7 yards a carry. So.
Wait, is it Southern Miss or Mississippi State? Didn't he play at Southern Miss?
I thought it was Mississippi State.
I think he's a Brett Favre guy.
He was at Mississippi State.
I think he's a Brett Favre guy. So he's like
because Kellen Mond has been at Mississippi State for 100 years.
Kellen Mond is Texas A&M, Jimmy.
Oh yeah,
I think he played at Southern Miss. I don't
Mississippi State. Who was it?
But yeah, like he came out 2 years.
Nick
Mullins came out a couple years ago and showed some, poise, and he was able to be a good quarterback and won some game for San Francisco. And I thought he must be hurt because I thought he would come out this week after they benched Garoppolo. Like I thought he would be the quarterback in the second half, but he must be hurt.
Is that Berthead or whatever his name is? I can't remember.
CJ, the Iowa guy, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking Nick Fitzgerald, sorry.
Was I right were we right with Southern Miss?
Yeah, he was Southern Miss.
Okay. I knew there was a quarterback that was at Mississippi State for a couple of years when Moorhead was there.
Okay, what else happened? Cincinnati is trash, so we can move on from that.
Yeah. What was it? It was Joe Burrow was trying to go first rookie quarterback to have like 4 consecutive weeks of 300 yards passing, and he didn't even get to 200. Well, I mean, granted, listen.
Lamar looks a lot better when he's not playing Kansas City. That seems to be his kryptonite. Like Lamar looks like
or Tennessee
MVP guy like he was last year when he's not playing Kansas City. They must have his number. I'm not sure what's going on there, but
they didn't do shit against Tennessee.
Hey, Kyler got a win. Luckily, the Cardinals got to play the Jets.
Well, I mean, the Arizona. I mean, they're 3-2. I wasn't expecting the Cardinals to be playoff. And I'm not saying they're going to get in the playoffs, but 3-2 is not bad. Obviously, take it. They do have the Cowboys and the Seahawks, and then the Dolphins and the Bills and the Seahawks and the Patriots and the Rams. They could very well lose the next 6 games straight.
3-2 is not bad, but your 2 losses are against Detroit and Carolina. And Carolina's looking okay. Like maybe they're better than what people thought, but those are 2 bottom tier teams. Like
true.
If not bottom, they're like lower mid tier.
Yeah. So.
And if you want to be making the playoffs, you're going to be higher mid tier.
Kyler's beating the 49ers, which don't seem to be too good. I mean, obviously they're healthy then, and then they beat the Washington football team.
I'm going to pull out a Dwayne Haskins. Kyler's getting his.
Kyler's getting his, buddy. So who gives a shit, right?
I will say that Kyler is playing great. For a small quarterback.
Yeah.
That granted he went number 1, but they always, I remember like it was the biggest question for like 3 weeks, like how big are Kyler's hands going to be?
Can those conversations go? I think we're done. I think we're done with those, aren't we?
That's ridiculous.
Well, yeah. Well, we're done with it. They're going to do it, but like,
yeah.
I'm like looking at Kyler. Granted, he plays Cardinals, but he's playing. He's what he was in college. He's lightning in a bottle. He's fantastic. It's like, okay, so you're telling me like if his hand was a quarter inch shorter, he would not be lightning in a bottle? Like,
yeah, really the footballs are not different sizes.
Right.
No. Like if all of a sudden he just can't hold on to the ball and he's just like slipping out of his hand every time, like, okay, there might be something there, but it's not like the guy's.
If he didn't do it in college, he's not going to do it in the pros. Like,
right. The guy rips it. He rips it, and he can run faster than any quarterback in the NFL, possibly. Like maybe Lamar, but he's a playmaker.
Possibly. I think 40 time, Lamar does better because he can break a little bit more tackles. Kyler's like straight speed. I'll take Kyler.
Kyler doesn't need to break tackles.
No, I have yet to see. I've yet to see any player that I could think of. His get off, his quickness is. I've never seen anybody that hit that fast.
Yeah,
his ability to go from like
standing in the pocket to just
standing in the pocket to off is, oh my god. Like, that was a lot of fun. Well, all right. Well, he's top speed now.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the statement. It goes, he doesn't run away from you. He just disappears.
No,
that wasn't about Kyler, but I love that line.
No, it wasn't that he disappears. It was against about the OU running back, the 30 for 30. He's like, they talked about him in high school, and they're like,
oh yeah.
Like, he didn't run away from people. He just left.
Yeah.
By
the way, a great 30 for 30. He's like a constructor or like a truck driver now or something.
Never was.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, he got screwed over by everybody around him.
Yeah, Marcus Dupree.
Bad advice.
Yeah, Dupree. Yeah,
it was good. But yeah, that's one of my favorite lines about Marcus Dupree. He never ran past people. He just left.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Right, he's leaving. See you later, buddy.
But yeah, so
Baltimore, Philadelphia might be a good game this week. It's going to be
Baltimore, Philadelphia.
Yeah. So
no, it's Baltimore, Cincinnati. This is in conference because Pittsburgh plays Cleveland and Baltimore will play Cincinnati.
I got week 6 pulled up right here. I got Cincinnati against Indianapolis. I got that wrong?
It's not. I don't think it's going to be week 6, is it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. So.
Okay, no, you're right.
I know I'm right.
Shut up, Ryan.
What week were you looking at?
I was looking at week 7 for that one.
Okay, so Cincinnati plays Indianapolis. Indianapolis probably thump them. We'll see what happens. But
speaking of Cincinnati, though, did you guys see the video from the sideline?
No, what happened?
After they're getting thumped by Baltimore, it is a video of AJ Green going up to his coach, and literally you could read his mouth. He goes, "Trade me."
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Trade him. Get rid of him.
Do it.
Well, you can't blame the dude. He's been a stud wide receiver for the longest time on Cincinnati, and he probably wants a chance to win a Super Bowl, and he knows he can't do it in Cincinnati.
Do it.
I said this week too. I think AJ Green's lost a step, and if there's ever a time to trade him, this is the year. You pull in Amari Cooper. You trade him midway through the year, and Amari Cooper's a little different because he's got a lot of miles left, but I think AJ Green is, if you use him as trade bait, get him to a team that needs a weapon like that, maybe it has a wide receiver that goes down or something. You can get AJ Green.
He's lost a step, but I think he'd still be very productive on the right team.
He has trade value, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
and if he's not willing to tough it through the hard, and this is easy for me to say. AJ Green has toughed it through the hard times for his whole career. So
yeah, he's toughed it through the hard times for 14 years.
Maybe it's time for AJ Green to go to the Patriots. That's
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
He follows Tom Brady. Okay, so here's the question. Big question, by the way.
Granted, do you choose Belichick or TB?
Yep. We're only 5 weeks in. I get it.
I know where I'm going.
But granted, he got Cam. And Cam didn't play the last week, so they're 2-1 with Cam. But 2-1 with Cam and Belichick or Tom Brady. So everybody asked, was it Brady or was it Belichick? Was it Brady or was it Belichick? Where are we at right now, 5 weeks into the season? Was it Brady or was it Belichick?
I'm saying it's both of them.
Yeah, well, I think it's.
I think the two of them together are the greatest head coach quarterback combos.
Everybody can agree with that.
It's not the best. They're the best.
Yeah, we agree with that.
Better than Chuck Noll,
did you say it's exactly 50-50, or was it like 41-49? And if so, who was the little bit more into it than the other?
If I'm being honest, I'm going to say I'm leaning towards it being more Belichick, just because that's his system, and he could just keep doing that.
Right.
Whereas Tom Brady eventually is gonna be too old.
Right. Sure. And Tom Brady, he is in Tampa Bay this year. Tampa Bay's looked good at times, but they're also, what's their record? They've also lost
3-2.
3-2. They've lost to the Saints and the Bears.
Right. And losing to the Bears is, the Bears aren't that good of a team, right? So
they're not that bad.
They're
okay.
Team is surprisingly better. They don't look good, but somehow they just win football games. I think
they have the leading receiver in the NFL. I forget his name. It's Allen Robinson. He played at Penn State.
Well, that's wrong because it's DeAndre Hopkins.
I was gonna say.
Wow. Last week it was Allen Robinson.
Okay, well, let's see here. Allen Robinson's not 2 because that's Metcalf 3. No. Allen Robinson's 7.
What's the difference in yards?
Right behind 2.
To be fair, he had Mitch Trubisky throwing the football.
That's true.
For the first 3 weeks.
Coming in this week, Allen Robinson led the league in pass and receiving. I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
But so the answer to the question is it's twofold. I think it's Belichick, because Belichick doesn't have to worry about age. Belichick can do this for the next 20 years or 10 years or whatever, right?
Yeah, he knows what kind of guy he needs to get into a system to make it work.
Right. Now the question is where would Allen, like, taking it back to AJ Green, like, I don't think the Tampa Bay needs a wide receiver.
Because they got Evans and Godwin and Gronk.
Yeah, they got Evans and Godwin. They got Gronk. They got weapons, and Patriots need weapons. Like, Patriots are in the same boat as they in every year, that they need weapons. We say need, but
Right.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, they've go with some wide receivers, but they're who knows wide receivers. Give him a dude like AJ Green.
And if I was Cincinnati, I'd do that shit in a heartbeat. I'd say we're not going anywhere this year. And if you're being toxic on the sidelines, like, if you're saying trade me, like, okay, you want to get traded, we'll trade your ass. Like, and I think it'll work out for both parties. I mean, I think him and his agent
outside of his, he's just done with it.
Say that, like, okay, we'll trade your ass. Well, they're probably going to trade him to a Super Bowl contender, so he's gonna be like, cool, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, they could do that.
Honestly, he's going to trade it to a team where his quarterback has time to get the ball. I'm sure I don't think AJ Green has anything against Joe Burrow. I think he probably thinks Joe Burrow might be a great quarterback in the NFL at some point.
He just wants a chance to win.
That team is just, I mean, their offensive line is possibly the worst in the NFL.
So looking at it would be some teams that would be interesting. Obviously, Green Bay would be very interesting. The Los Angeles Rams.
Cowboys.
Yeah, that's exactly what
right.
He could play running back.
The Raiders.
By the way, if he goes Cowboys, that's Andy Dalton and AJ Green reuniting.
Oh shit!
I bet you Chucky would love to have AJ Green on his team.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yep.
And they've got a lot of draft picks still that they could trade.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that all falls out. But
that is so outside of AJ Green's reputation. You know, he's never been the flashy, I'm the greatest wide receiver in the league, even though he could argue that he was the greatest wide receiver in the league for a while.
He had times where he was.
Yeah. There is some
value. If the Bengals don't do that, then they're living up to their reputation as one of the most downtrodden. Yeah,
and there is some fire in AJ Green. We've seen it against defensive backs. We've seen him get in fights where ripping helmets off, and like he's not all like quiet, calm, collected Marvin Harrison type of guy. Like he's got a fire in him. So him going and say, I'm not surprised. Like if I was AJ Green, I might have said this exact same thing. Say, hey buddy, trade me. It'll help your team and it'll help whatever team I go to. Just get it's time for us to part ways. Like
look at that. I mean, can you
that's my thought.
This year, the Bengals are not going to be good at all.
No. They're not going to be good next year either.
Last year, 2-14, 6-10, 7-9, 6-9. I mean, the last 5 years, he hasn't even sniffed a 500 record.
Since 2000. Not since that playoff game, the infamous one.
Right, and he's 33, so he's got to be. Kelly said nothing against Joe Burrow, but
that whole thing.
Try to win one.
Could you guys imagine being in Ohio that long? Like, let's be honest.
No, I would have.
Yes, I can.
Definitely would have retired.
Well, actually, that's not true. I didn't even live in Ohio that long. Well, no, he's only been there.
That's why Barry Sanders retired. He was too close to Ohio for too long.
Detroit's way too close. I can't do this.
So that wraps up the NFL. You guys got anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Not really. Hey, I do. Last, kind of wrap it up. Tip my hat to the Los Angeles Lakers. Closed out the NBA Finals last night, became NBA champions, tied the Boston Celtics for most championships in NBA history. I heard something pretty great today, talking because what this ultimately does is brings back up the GOAT conversation.
Yeah.
Jordan versus
MJ.
Jordan versus MJ. Jordan versus LeBron. And somebody this morning, I think it was on First Take or something. He's like. They brought up this is stupid. He's like, they're both fantastic players, and all that argue you can like Jordan and still think LeBron is fantastic. They're like, everybody that loves Jordan decides to pick this one thing, like this one stat against LeBron, regardless of what it is, and hate him for it.
Yeah.
And they're like, just enjoy it. He's fantastic. Just let him go. Like, he's great.
Yeah.
And like
I saw
somebody or 35. He averaged he averaged 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. There's only 5 people that have done that in NBA Finals history. It's like, a Shaq, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I think it's Bill Russell. They all did it once. LeBron's done it 6 times.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
He's made the playoffs more than he hasn't.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I still think Jordan's the GOAT, but like I have definitely gotten to the point in my wiser, older days when I used to hate LeBron just to enjoy the show. Like, just sit back and enjoy this.
Yeah, he's great. And he's been great for a long time.
For over a decade.
Yeah, I think that conversation, like, it's a tough conversation for me to have. I love Michael Jordan, and we all grew up watching Michael Jordan. He was the greatest player that we've ever seen, and all these things. And him and LeBron are just two different types of players. So it's very hard to say who's better. Who has a better stats? It's easier to say who has better stats, but like
when you look at it, when somebody like, and again, I'm stealing other people's words, but it's great. But they talk about like the one thing Jordan has over LeBron is his clutch.
His clutch, sure,
but.
His killer instinct
was, and this is a very good argument, but is it? Because Jordan's clutch was, I want to shoot. And I'm going to make the shot. LeBron's clutch is, I'm going to make the right basketball play, regardless if that's me shooting or not.
I'm going to make the play that wins us the game.
Yeah, regardless of passing or shooting or whatever. Jordan and Kobe and those guys are like, fuck you, I'm shooting this ball and I'm going to make it. I don't care. Which, that's amazing. Don't get me wrong. That's
that's cool. That's fun to watch, but you got to respect the other side of that. You got to.
LeBron is, if I'm triple team, that means there's 2 dudes wide open, and I'm going to find that guy. Now, if he misses the shot, then I'm going to get reamed and for not the shot. But
to bring this back into football, like Brett Favre was Michael Jordan. Tom Brady is LeBron James. Brett Favre said, "I'm going to carry this on my back, and I'm going to make the throw no matter what at the end of the game, and I'm going to be clutch as hell."
Funny you bring that up. Tom Brady actually posted a picture that's gone viral.
Huh.
And it shows Michael Jordan equals, and it has a picture of him, Tom Brady, and then it says LeBron James equals, and he put Aaron Rodgers. And he posted it on Twitter.
See, that's the exact opposite than what I would think. Aaron Rodgers is the guy that, like, I'm going to make the play. Everyone else sit back and watch me make this play, right? Tom Brady's like, I'm going to put my team in the position to win the game every single time. Like,
yeah, there was only 1 or 2 seasons where Tom Brady was like the top end quarterback in stats.
Yeah,
and that was when he had Randy Moss. Yeah, and then the rest of it was just everybody on the team was good doing their job.
So LeBron James is I'm going to put my team in the position to win the game every time. If that means me scoring a triple-double or dropping 40 every night, that's what I got to do. If that means me taking a step back and, scoring 20 and then dishing it to Davis, getting 20 assists a game, whatever, I'm going to do that.
Maybe, like, the big thing is, like, nowadays, because I used to be, don't get me wrong, I used to be Michael Jordan, there's no questions asked. And I still take Jordan over anybody. But, I think the closest thing to Michael Jordan we've ever had is Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
I think LeBron is more Magic Johnson. But if you ask me what the most unstoppable force to ever step foot on a basketball court is, Shaquille O'Neal was the most unstoppable force to ever step foot on a basketball court. He could not be stopped. Granted, he was bigger and he didn't get the assists and everything, but if he got the ball within 5 feet, there was nothing you could do. Like, he was just going to pummel you.
Unless Yao Ming was there.
That's true.
Yao Ming was just that much bigger.
There's just a lot, like in basketball, there's just a lot, not any sport, the GOAT question. There's just so many different aspects about it. I think Shaq was the most unstoppable force. LeBron's probably the best all-around basketball player. Jordan was the best clutch, cutthroat, screw you, I'm winning no matter what.
I think something that LeBron does not have that Kobe and MJ had was that killer instinct. It's like, I'm going to do this in your face because of that. And then LeBron's like, I want to win because I want to win.
Right.
Yeah.
Not because I want to do this because I want to make you feel like crap.
So what would you rather have in your team, though?
I'd rather have LeBron, personally.
Me too. I want a guy on my team that's going to do everything right and make the right play no matter what, instead of running listen, like, maybe the right play on those Bulls teams was to run an ISO with Jordan and just literally run 4 people to one side of the court and then run LeBron or Jordan to the other side of the court, let him take a one-on-one against Byron Russell and whatever and score a jumper to win the game. Like, that was probably the right play back then. Now in LeBron's era, like, LeBron has a lot of weapons that he can utilize, and getting the right play, like, it's such a hard thing to like pinpoint, but like,
it is. To me, hard. The thing that always, I think LeBron is fantastic. The thing to me that will always hamper him, to me, and the GOAT talk, and I don't know what the answer is, what I'm about to say or not, but, so he went to Miami and won with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
Right.
And he came back and played with Kyrie and Kevin Love, won a championship. Now he's with Anthony Davis. But my question is, and not say, what if you take LeBron out and put Steph Curry?
Right.
Do you think they win? That he won 5 championships in those 11 years.
So I gotta retort to that.
Or like somebody else, like not like I'd say take other players out, like Steph Curry, or to put in Kobe Bryant, or
take Jordan away from Pippen, Rodman.
They were not good.
Paxson, Luke Longley, like who was the Serbian guy that was really good that no one?
Tony Kukoc.
Kukoc. Take Jordan away from them. What do you got? You got the Washington Wizards.
Right, but
that's where Jordan that conversation, like, we could have that conversation. Like, so you got to remember when LeBron was at Cleveland at the beginning, who else was on that team?
No, those teams were trash. They were
trash, and who went to the
Eric Snow
Finals and NBA Finals every year? It was LeBron.
They were making the finals. Like, they started making the finals after.
He made the finals once. He made the finals once.
But he was in the
after. But it was like 2004 on. I think he got drafted into the league in 2004.
So that's an interesting conversation to have. It's like take Jordan away from his.
I'm same age as him. I graduated high school 2004.
So like take Jordan away from Pippen and the boys in Chicago. What do you got? And to my opinion, what you got is the Washington Wizards when Jordan went there and had nobody, and they weren't that good of a team. Like,
there was also Jordan when he was 45.
Correct. That's very true.
Yeah. Here's my argument for why I would want to have LeBron James.
Brian, they built that team around him. He didn't go hunt it down. He did not go from team to team. He did not go find these other players. Right. They did it through draft and free agents. Like, if he would have had those same players, like if say after in the Cleveland, if Wade and Bosh would have come to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay, that's free agency. You did it, but you stayed in Cleveland. Regardless of who they put around you, you stayed put and didn't freaking move.
Right.
And that's what Jordan did. He stayed put, and then they got Kukoc and
two different organizations. Cleveland is notorious for being no offense, Jimmy, but a shit run. And you're not even a fan. Yeah, you're not a Cavs fan, but they're notoriously for being a shit run organization. And he repeatedly says, "You got to get me somebody, get me somebody, get me somebody." Yeah. They didn't get him. He left and went to Miami, and I don't blame him at all. And the whole right. And then they draft Kyrie Irving. He comes back. Whatever. Like, that's a good conversation to have, and that's interesting. Like, what is Jordan without his boys? What is LeBron without Kyrie, Wade, Love?
Here's something that I want to bring up that's actually kind of interesting.
Davis.
Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant type players, they have a shelf life, right?
Yeah.
At a certain point, they're going to lose a step. At a certain point, they're not going to be as fast as these younger guys coming in. LeBron James also has a shelf life. But like you said, Ryan, if he is a guy who's going to put his team with his basketball acumen in the best position to win, you could still win with him making those basketball decisions.
Yeah.
Maybe at a certain point, he's like, you know what? I'm not the best man for the job. Draft this guy.
So, that is true. I think it's with Jordan, it's a little different because Jordan in his younger years, he was Air Jordan and jumping. But if you look at his shot chart of his career, he lived and died by the mid-range.
Oh, yeah.
He was a 15-foot assassin. And even in his older age, when he was 38 and 39, which is old as hell for the NBA, he shot mid-range jumpers, and he averaged 23 points and 22 points at 38 and 39 because he didn't have to get to the rim. He did his little back down and fadeaway jumper, mid-range jumper. So
that's true.
He was Kobe a little bit more because Kobe was still he could shoot the mid-range, and he did, but Kobe was always a get-to-the-rack guy.
Yeah.
But Jordan was a mid-range assassin. He could do it from
Jordan. Jordan. His athleticism was his standout point, and his quickness. But he had to get tougher, and he got tougher. Going up against the bad boys.
Yeah,
going up against the bad boys had to get tougher. And then when he got tougher, and then the bad boys were now going after Pippen, it's well documented. Then Pippen had to get tougher.
Yep.
And then and I think that's where the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, came from, was that I not only need to make myself tougher, I need to make sure everybody else around me is tougher.
Yeah, and that's like you can damn near say the same thing. Like so about LeBron. Like LeBron he's a lot bigger than all the boys we're talking about. Like he's a lot bigger than Kobe. He's a lot bigger than MJ. He's a massive guy. That might show that he can go longer in his career and maybe mold his game. Like and LeBron can play point guard, and then he can play power forward.
LeBron did come out yesterday or this morning, I think, or was at the celebration, and said, "I've got a lot of years left in me."
Yeah,
and I mean, I have a very hard time not thinking that's true. I mean, he's 35. Yeah, again, he's my age. I remind myself of how shitty that is. But he's 35, and he averaged 25, 10, and 8 at 35. I mean, that's still fantastic. He was an argument of MVP at 35 years old. So even if he loses a step and drops off next 2 or 3 years, he's going to be 28 and 5? That's still great numbers.
He 100% needs to shave his head, though. Just give up on the hair, man.
So from what I've heard and what I've read about LeBron James is he is going to play for the Los Angeles Lakers, and it's kind of a well-documented thing, and he's going to do 1-year contracts until his son gets drafted, and he said he is going to sign free agency to wherever his son gets drafted so he can play with his son.
Did you see that whole thing with Bronny and Snapchat? He posted like a picture of him smoking a blunt or something.
Oh yeah, all after that were hilarious.
Yeah,
it's like LeBron James holding the trophy. He's like, "That belt ready? I'm about to whip your ass."
Yeah,
but yeah, like Bronny James, I think he's eligible to get drafted in 2 years.
He's like 15 right now. Yeah,
he's 16.
Oh, okay.
Just turned 16.
I was gonna say if he's not 15, he's only 16.
Yeah, just turned 16. So, but everything I've read, he said that he wants to play with his son in the NBA.
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be cool. And he's got the longevity to do it. You stay healthy, and he's the type. I'm a Mavericks fan, so I think of like Dirk Nowitzki taking a step back, taking a more supportive role on his team. Like I don't ever see LeBron going like so far that route. Like
right.
We're going to see LeBron James coming off the bench. Maybe not. Like LeBron James is going to play and be a great player for many more years. But he's already like beaten Jordan in a lot of numbers, and he's like beaten like Kobe in a lot of numbers. And if you add 5 more years to that, it's especially with his production that he's doing now, it's like
this puts him at 4 championships, right?
Yes, 4.
Yeah.
So he ties Cleveland 2 and Miami 1 with LA.
Yeah. So he ties Kobe.
Yeah. And I mean, is there anything to say that the Lakers aren't going to be exactly?
There's nothing to say they're not going to. Yeah.
Like, I mean,
no, we'll see. I think next year. I mean, with the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets will be back with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They will be a force to be reckoned with. The Golden State Warriors will be back because their whole team was decimated.
Yeah.
with injuries. So Golden State will be back. I'm not saying that LA can't do it. It's just gonna be it's gonna be a hard road to get back there.
Yeah. You still got the Clippers.
So it's kind of interesting too. I was looking at.
Oh, by the way,
Bronny won't get there because of his name, but I mean, he's the 24th ranked prospect in the 2023 class. That doesn't guarantee NBA.
No. But he is 16 years old.
He'll probably get drafted because his age.
Where's he going to go? Ohio State?
And who his dad was?
No. If he were to actually play college ball, he'd go to. Well, they got to do a year. Well, they don't got to do a year, right? They can do a year.
Well, they can do a year overseas now. I think they got to do. They got to be 1 year removed from high school, but they can play a year pro overseas.
Yeah, he'll probably go like UCLA or Oregon or something.
I'm seeing if it says which.
It'd be awesome if it was Ohio State, though.
What are the trending schools to land Bronny James?
Ohio State's got to be on that list, right?
Dad, he's huge. Ohio State.
I mean, powerhouse Penn State's probably in the mix, I'm sure.
Well, an interesting one. They're saying, Jimmy, you'll love this.
Michigan.
Accurate. Oh, really?
Well, Michigan's a basketball school now.
So. Well, because Juwan Howard's now their coach, and I guess he's good friends with LeBron and Dwayne Wade. They said that he could sign Bronny and Zaire Wade.
You say Juwan Howard's a coach there now?
Juwan Howard's a head coach at Michigan, yeah.
Oh, no shit. Who was the guy before that? Is it
Boeheim.
Is it Boeheim?
Yeah.
No, Boeheim's the Syracuse guy. Or no.
And I'm just telling you, be shocked at.
What's his name?
Absolutely shocked. Duke.
Oh yeah.
Shocker.
So how is Kentucky not in the mix? You get
Kentucky, Bronny, all the big names. Arizona.
Yeah.
U of A. You know,
especially Kentucky's got the mentality of one and done, and
Calipari.
Yeah,
one and done. I'll get you to the NBA. That's what he says.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of fun to watch going forward of where he's at. Yeah, like enough NBA, but yeah, congrats to the Los Angeles Lakers. I will say, Jimmy Butler climbed my list of favorite players in the NBA. He's probably one of my top 3 favorite players in the NBA. Yeah.
He's been on my list for a while now. I always loved Jimmy Butler. Like
I liked him. I liked him in Chicago.
He always got covered up by Derrick Rose. When he was at Chicago, he got covered up by Derrick Rose, and I don't think people realize how good he was at Chicago. You know,
just hearing to him talk in all the interviews, like he just says the right things. Like talking about he got a 40-point triple double, and he did the I don't give a shit. We won the game. And guess what? We're going to show up the next night, and we expect to win. I don't care if it's LeBron James.
So the opposite of Dwayne Haskins.
Yes.
Okay.
He kind of got a bad rap when he got traded out of Chicago to Minnesota, screaming at his teammates. Reports out of Philadelphia, which, as it sounds like, the Sixers organization, like that quote unquote team, was not a very good team.
Oh, it's trash.
And then he goes to Miami, and he's like, they're living it up. They're like, he's a good teammate and everything.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad.
I think next year in the NBA, again, with the lots of different teams being good, I think it's gonna be just as fun to watch it next year. It's gonna be interesting to see when they start the season, because the season's usually starting in 2 weeks from now.
That's insane.
They're gonna try to start the season mid to late December.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and they still got to do the draft, free agency. The NBA is gonna be in the news for the next 2-3 months, regardless of what's going on. But that's all I got.
Let's wrap this bad boy up, boys.
Yeah,
let's do the damn thing.
So
I don't know something you played to start, Jimmy, or what you're. Well, I don't know what we're going to.
What's our outro?
Or what's our intro? I know we're doing Halloween stuff because I love. Halloween.
It's October. Like I said, we're doing Halloween themes. There's so many good Halloween themes. Last week was Halloween, right? In my opinion, and I'm sure in a lot of people's opinion, the greatest horror movie theme of all time. So we'll do another one this week. By the way,
hey, I got one in mind.
All right, we'll talk about it.
I got one thing to mention before we knock out. Possibly the best UFC knockout of all fucking time.
Oh, dude.
Unbelievable.
Just want to throw that out there. If you don't know about it, just Google it. Trust me, we can
Yeah, just go to YouTube, type in best UFC knockout of all time, and it'll pop right up.
I've watched about 20 times.
It's so much better than the Showtime kick from Anthony Pettis.
By the way, that guy that got knocked out, nothing but class. He came out on Twitter like afterwards and was like, "Hey man, you're a great fighter. That was an unbelievable kick. Like great shot. Like I'll come back stronger, but that was one of the best shots in the history of the UFC." Or said something like that.
It was
like nothing but class.
He was right.
Yeah, just want to throw that out there. That kick was holy shit.
Yeah. I shout out, as you know, like I'd like to keep going. My two buddies, sanctuarycandlecompany.com, bitterworks.com. They do great work, and especially with it being Halloween, the Sanctuary Candle, they do all of their stuff is gothic related. It's horror related. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
So,
man.
Yep. Anyway, you guys got any shots out?
Shout out to my dogs and my wife.
Aberdews.
That's about it.
Hansel and Gretel's. Oh, this piss.
Shout out to Sam Ellinger and Tom Herman. Suck my fucking dick.
And we're done.
All right. We are out of this piece. We'll see you next week. Love you, boys.
All right, guys. See ya.
All right. And we're clear.
What the fuck is that from?
That's from Wayne's World.
Oh, Wayne's World. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to go grab some wine. Ross, where'd you go?